You look very nervous.
I am. It's recording now.
It is indeed recording.
Hello, YouTube. I just mentioned a minute ago, it feels like a job interview, something I'm not very experienced in, so the pressure is on.
The pressure is on. You will get grilled today, Mr. Jaymes.
Oh, God.
So you signed up for this, by the way.
I did.
You can tell I'm in very formal attire to grill you as well.
God.
I'm only kidding. Yeah, so hello everyone. Welcome to the podcast. This is Jaymes, one of my closest friends. Like Anton, he's been a friend for many years, and he's been through lots of different eras of mine, and he holds a special place in my heart.
Oh, I'm honored to hear that. Maybe not too special a place, given I'm like the 7th guest on here, but regardless, it is a pleasure.
Oh my. Bro flames me when he was in Europe. Like...
Yeah, I buggered off, and am I allowed to swear in this?
You're allowed to swear. You might notice that like I just don't end up swearing. I don't know what happens when the mic is here. I end up speaking very sophisticatedly. Mm-hmm. Like I don't speak as like what I sometimes do, but I don't mind at all. But yeah, all good. So we have to put the intro sequence somewhere. So
absolutely.
Welcome to Ali's Life in Progress.
Take it away.
And we're back.
That's an excellent intro, isn't it?
Yeah, I was saying this in Liam's episode. Liam actually suggested that we should have like another little like iPad on the side, which just plays the intro for us.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, there's no like silence.
I played the whole thing in my mind.
Do you even remember the intro?
Yeah, I do. It was very good.
Amazing.
It was like 10 minutes into Liam's one. We're breaking records today.
Yeah, well, it was about 3 seconds into Ethan's one. Well.
Oh, maybe I haven't got that far yet.
Not a public episode. But yes, it was a few
That's
seconds.
the top tier of the Patreon subscription, yeah.
Oh yeah, the hidden Patreon.
Yes.
I get that cash in hand. So
absolutely.
there's no trace of it on the internet. Mm-hmm. God knows what happens on that podcast. Anyways, I hope you don't feel too intimidated by my notes.
No, it's strangely reassuring. It feels like I have to do less of the grunt work to keep this rolling.
No,
so
you're only
that's
this
good.
page. You're not the other pages.
Oh,
no
okay,
peeking.
that's good.
No
okay,
peeking.
all right. I will leave it.
Put it away from readable distance.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I just want to start off with. Anton suggested this, so I think we should start with this.
I was getting ready for like, how was your morning? You know, how was your trip in? But we're starting with Anton's segment.
Okay. I've been very unsure. So I've gotten various different pieces of feedback when it comes to this podcast, and some of them conflict with each other. Some people don't like the idea of like that good morning part, and like, I don't know. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's your travel been here?
Oh, it's been good, but very uninteresting. I suspect less interesting than what you've got planned in this next segment.
No, it would have been very interesting.
It was a rainy train ride on which I read some of, well, we'll get there. I read some of my piece of media just to refresh my memory. And
we're not having that segment.
No? Okay.
We are.
Maybe I was panicking. That's the one thing I've got prepared. Oh, shit. And then I got here and had a coffee which was too hot, and I had to drink it while burning my mouth so I could get here and not leave you waiting, and that was my morning.
Yes, actually, I didn't like the 2 points. I knew that there was no, as you can see, I brought water with me. The only thing I had to bring down here is water because it's carpeted floor here. I knew that. And I also knew you were getting coffee, but those two weren't together. They were just separate. I was like, oh, he's going to come in with coffee.
It's fine. I've been here before, and I should have known, but that is all good.
Yeah, I mean, I did get email notification that we're not allowed drinks as well.
I see.
I do every time.
So is there an etiquette on how often I should be looking at the camera? Is this
not at all? No? In fact, like, I pretty much never look at the camera. I don't look at the camera. I actually look at the mic audio. Just in case the mic cuts out.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I'm looking out for. The audience is sort of there just on the side viewing this conversation. Unless you want to point something at the audience, then you can view the camera. The conversation gets a bit meta.
If I'm making a call out. Shout outs to Anton for this next segment.
if he gets to this point.
Yeah, he's clicked off by now.
Probably taking a nap. It's too much work for
Absolutely.
one day. Who else can we shout out? Shout out to Ryan.
Shout out to Ryan.
And Kyle. And we'll know why later.
Okay, that scares me, but that's exciting. What a strange combo.
Anyways, moving swiftly past that.
Sure.
I thought for the first little part, because it's like a little introductory thing, I thought it would be nice to insert something that Anton put in the chat this morning about a character that I think resembles you.
Okay.
And you know of this character, and we've discussed this before, and it's come up, but it's nice to have it immortalized in some sort of medium.
Sure.
I think Agent Tench, that's what pricked in mind. I don't know, they're like the type of banter that he has, that's sort of like being in like a really bad position and then highlighting exactly why it's bad and then making it 50 steps lower. There's some humor to that just it hits hard, you know. And I think that like that part of you is in there. But yeah.
He's such the dynamic that those two characters have. What's the other one? I always forget.
Holden.
It's Tench and Holden, of course. They're
Holden
dynamic.
Ford,
I love it.
Car brands.
Yeah.
Mindhunter, by the way, for anyone.
Yes, excellent show, which we need to start watching again.
Yeah.
It was Ali's recommendation, and I kind of left it in my list for a while. And he came over one night. We like to do movie nights and things, and we kind of couldn't find anything to watch. And he just suggested we put on an episode. And it's like funny how immediately we resonate with the two characters. Like, this is kind of like giving us vibes. And then I think Tench made some like, dry kind of sarcastic remark, and I'm like, there's me. It's fun. But he's got a really interesting kind of cut and dry way of viewing things. But yeah,
See, I don't think you necessarily view things cut and dry all the time at all. I think that part, I think when we were sitting with Anton, and then Anton thought that, I didn't really agree with it.
Yeah.
I think that there's like a strong, like the humor side resonates a lot. There are aspects that, no, I don't think you're cut and dry in general.
Well, no,
I just don't see
I'm not saying. I think that the way it's kind of, his character is wrapped in these layers of like sarcasm. I think. And
exactly.
that's how he presents himself. And when they're doing their interviews and whatnot, that's how it kind of comes across.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of depth. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Whereas like Holden kind of wears his heart on his sleeve kind of thing. He's got that like.
Which is a very me style.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, he's very starry-eyed, kind of optimistic. And he's very like to the point, but it's a very nice dynamic. I forget how far we got into the show. It's been like 2 months.
We got into, I think, episode 3. We watched that, and this is the part in the show where they finally get a spot in the FBI basement, and they use it for the one episode they've used it.
We got a bit past that. There was that other member they added to the team.
Yes,
we should have prefaced this with Mindhunter spoilers in case anyone's
Well, it's not
interested.
really spoiler. It's in the like initial plot. Like, there's nothing that we've really said. And plus, I think a lot of that show is really about like experiencing it. Like, I think there's the character dynamics are really good. So no matter how much of the plot you really say, I think nothing really captures like how each character sort of talks to one another and meshes with one another. And I think a lot of shows that I enjoy are kind of like that.
Yeah.
But this show, because it has such extreme, it has like, it's like each character wears their trait really well, and they're not like moderate characters.
Yeah.
And they're not extreme necessarily, but they're like representations of one part. There's like the more academic side of things, then there's the whole like instinct, and then there's like more like the in-between sort of like half institution, half not institution sort of vibe that Tench has, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, it's a very clever show, very sharp dialogue, and it's the sort of thing where like every time we watch it, every episode when they're interviewing all of these, sequence killers, Holden like asks a question. It's like, damn, that's so punchy. Like, it's such a brilliant question. Like, the way in real time he comes up with these things on like probes at whoever they're interviewing, it's so fascinating. Very Ali vibes.
I'm trying to get better at.
Absolutely.
Which is part of the reason why, another part of the reason why the podcast started. I was like, I think I've got this side of me that I see. I want to get good at the skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. Future FBI agent in the making.
No, unfortunately not. Yeah, well, I mean, you never know what the future holds, but I don't think my future would hold the FBI specifically. I think there'll be too many security risks in me doing that.
Potentially, yeah. Maybe ice would get to you first.
Yeah.
How woke should I be on this
You
podcast?
can be as woke as you want.
Okay, there'll be no outlandish political opinions here.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
I have. Okay. Anyways,
how Joe Rogan, how Jordan Peterson do you want to make this podcast?
oh my! I've got the collared shirt. I've got my room cleaned this morning, so
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. So if you didn't have a character to pick about me, we'll move on to the next segment.
Well,
I'm kidding.
Well, we kind of covered Holden as the analogy to you, and I quite like how that dynamic works. I was presented with a choice of a character that's very like you and it's very not like you. I think I'll go the other way then. I'll pick a character that's very not like you. And the only thing that came to mind is a book I read a long time ago, which I've probably talked about, because I don't read very many books. So the couple I've read, I talk about. And it's the picture of Dorian Gray, and this being the main character, Dorian Gray. It's very interesting. He kind of like, there's a bit of overlap, but also it's quite dissimilar. It's very morality driven, this whole book. And do you know anything about the plot of Dorian Gray?
No.
I would have talked about it, but it would have been a long time ago, I think.
Okay.
So the sort of synopsis, any English majors that are watching this are going to be very mad because I'm probably going to butcher it. But the concept is it's this guy who's he's very hedonistic. He's this young guy, a lot of energy, and he's kind of getting into the world, and he sees this portrait. Or maybe there's a portrait made for him. My summary is going to be very bad. But anyway, there's a portrait of him somehow that comes about, which kind of reflects his like youthfulness and his beauty. And it's kind of, there's a contrast between this painting and him. He's kind of a more vile, immoral figure, but the painting is quite innocent and pure. And over time, he realizes that as he commits immoral actions in the world and as he ages, he kind of physically remains the same. And it's like, the immoral actions that he's committing don't really negatively affect him physically, but the effects kind of get transferred to the painting. So he goes to like opioid dens and he's cheating with people. He's doing all sorts of shit, and it gets transferred to the painting, and this painting becomes like disfigured and hideous, kind of like reflecting his sins and his immorality, while he like stays eternally young and pure, like physically. And I think the point is kind of like him exploring the consequences of like his immorality and like kind of seeing how it gets reflected in the painting and then being like disgusted by it. But it's like kind of like a weird tension, between what he does and which is immoral and how it manifests in like his painting.
A very interesting character.
It's a really interesting book. I've probably done a bad job of explaining like what the point is, but I think it's interesting. I think it's fair to say you're a very morally driven person. And I thought it was an interesting thing to kind of bring up. You kind of go the other way, which is you're very thoughtful about morality, but it's sort of like steering clear of immorality, sort of you are the painting in this case in its original state before all the shit happens to it, maybe.
Interesting. That's very nice. No, you look very confused at the end of it. I thought
Maybe.
it was really good.
There's something deep in there somewhere if you read into that, maybe.
Don't know what that would be, but that's up to the audience to find out.
It's a good read. I think you might enjoy it. It's
yeah, I might note that name down after the podcast.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's a Penguin classic.
It's a Penguin classic. Wow. Yeah, well, that was a very interesting character analysis of it. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah. Anyways, the first proper segment.
Okay.
A segment that I used in the Shadow episode that I think was really fun.
All right, here we go.
We have the quick fire segment. Now,
very good.
I've got about 12 questions here. That I want you to answer moderately quickly, but not quickly time-wise, but like, I don't want like long answers.
Yeah,
like short answer questions. Yeah.
But I can have a second to think about it.
Yeah, of course.
I like this.
So the first question is, what is the best controller?
Fuck me. Oh, no swearing. I forgot.
You can swear. There's no problem with swearing.
The first word that comes to mind, I could make it a one-word answer. I'll give a tiny bit of context. The word that came to mind is fear. I think fear really controls people's thoughts, people's political views, people's actions, everything. That was inspired by Heretic, a movie which we watched recently, the horror movie.
A great movie.
Which is very religious themed. It was excellent film, one of my favorite horror movies.
Another one where I felt like there was parallels to the two main characters and us.
Yeah. yeah. It was very good, and it kind of, the seeds of those themes are in that movie, and that was kind of, because I don't want to give too much away, of course, but control is a big theme in that, and I don't know, that was just the first thing that came to mind. I watched the movie yesterday, that's why.
Now the funny part about that question was I was mainly asking about like a video game controller.
You can't do this to me! You told me it was going to be deep! Okay. Well, then my answer changes. The biggest controller... Feel works. The human body, because like the Just Dance pads where you like move your whole body. You're the like controller.
Motion control. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah. That feels less interesting than the previous discussion, but that's...
See, I thought this time it would be funny if I gave you a really shallow question, but I think you were so prepped for the deep question, you just made up a deep question.
I did! And in your mind, you're expecting like, oh, the PS5 DualShock controller is pretty big. And I said fear, and you're like, what the fuck?
You said fear, and then like I tried not to react because I was like, I really want to see where he goes with this. And then I was like, wow, this is actually a really deep question. Good on me, you know?
Okay. And it was a matter of time before I'd embarrass myself. I just think that it would be 10 minutes in. Very good.
Oh my god, we didn't start the timer.
Oh, what time did we start recording?
I'm not sure, but we'll start it now and see how it goes. It's probably not been more than 10 minutes.
Okay.
Anyways, what is the best university degree in terms of employment and enjoyment?
I'm trying to think if there's another way to interpret this question that's an easy answer, so I don't get fooled again. What's the best university degree? Not my one in terms of employment capabilities. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel it depends on what your goals are. I think if you just want to get a degree for the qualification and get out into the workforce, honestly, business is very solid for just like a 3-year short and sweet thing, and then you get out there because it's like it gives you the pathways. But I am biased towards science because I very much like science, and I think the skills are generalizable. So that's also, I think it's an interesting degree, which is like you're not selling your soul just to make money. It's kind of, you can have a bit of fun with it depending on how you like tailor it, and with like some employment prospects in there as well.
So, I like that. I like that answer.
I don't think you were expecting the business answer.
I wasn't.
It depends on what you're looking for, what you're wanting in a degree, I guess. Shout out to our friend Ethan, who is doing a business degree. He finished a business degree, and it landed him a job.
Finn Dawson.
And Finn, of course. I forgot he's finishing as well this semester, I think.
Who didn't reply to a future segment that's coming up.
Unbelievable.
Anyways, the
Maybe
next
I should
question.
try and condense my answers a little bit, because I don't know if these are too long or...
They're okay.
Okay.
They're okay. Do you think there's more good or bad people in the world?
More good people or bad people? Okay, not good actions, about like people specifically.
That's the next question. People first.
Oh, sorry to jump ahead. Yeah, I think there's more good people. I think morality, like good and bad, is kind of a black and white definition, and there's a spectrum. But generally, people's intentions, I think, are pretty good. People can be self-centered, but I think being bad is quite a strong statement. Mm-hmm. So generally, people are inclined to be good.
And then actions.
I mean, actions is, it kind of extends from that, right? I think people, maybe that's closer to being like somewhere in the middle, like a more even balance, because I think people can be naturally, motivated by self-interest. But I think most of the time people want to do good. I think there's something biological of like, I don't know, there's brain chemistry in it. I feel you look out for other people. That's kind of how you're wired. For the most part. There's exceptions, of course, but generally people are, I think, at least pleasant to others and like look out for them, I think.
I think just the fact that like people that don't have that within them are usually classified as like a minority that strays away from the normal. sort of suggests that. But yeah. Next question. She's a 10, but she asks, would you love me if I was a worm? And psychoanalyzes you for 30 minutes every day.
Thought this was going in a backpack direction, but that's
No, that can't be revealed.
No, that never gets revealed. She psychoanalyzes the answer. Is that what you said? Okay.
For 30 minutes.
For 30 minutes.
Day.
Wait, what answer do you want out of me? Like, what does the score
these
get?
Questions. So
it's just more of a statement that I have to engage with. Okay. It's not a question. That's a statement.
No, the question is meant to be like, she's a 10, but this. What is she now? That's like.
Yes, I figured. Honestly, a 7. Maybe I was gonna say 6 or 7. I feel that would date the podcast, though. That's a bit of a contemporary joke for you young
I think
ones.
Annika's brain would explode.
Yeah, there's no way she's made it this far.
No.
Shout out to Alyssa and Annika, my beloved friends, my god sisters. They love me, but not this much. I don't know if they've made it here. No, I'm sure they will.
We'll see. Only time will tell. And we'll see how that goes. What is the meaning of life? These questions were intentionally ordered, by the way.
Yeah. I think just to enjoy it and to positively influence and impact others, I think. The most meaningful thing in life are the connections that you have. And if you're leaving a positive impact on people, then you're doing it right. I mean, I come from a perspective also a bit biased by religion, where it's like life kind of doesn't end when you die. So it's kind of, and I know a lot of people are more deep in, leaving a legacy behind and that sort of thing. But I don't, to me, that's not as important as just like, while you're here, this kind of thing, this is what life is about, I think. You know what I mean?
Amazing. Very happy to hear that. Jaymes will be returning as a guest in a future episode.
Really? Just based on that answer, yeah. I've glazed him 20 minutes. He's like, oh, this guy's good. He gets an episode too.
What is your favorite form of media? And the perspective I'm mainly taking is like, is it like a book, movie, show, music? Could be one. Yeah.
That's so tough. My initial thought was movie, just because I really like finding ones that impact you deeply and reviewing them and talking about them. And, it's very versatile. You can have animated movies as well, which I love. I kind of want to say music, though. I think music is unique. There's not any other form of media that can make you feel like music does, I think. Depends on what your genre is, but it has such a way of evoking feelings and nostalgia or putting you in a certain place, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a movie or film, you're kind of going along the ride that whoever wrote it wants you to go on. But music is kind of a personal journey. You know what I mean? It's very personal. It's all like we've had. That was my answer, and then there's a little comment afterwards. So this is like a separate. We've had discussions about like music taste and stuff before, and it is like the most subjective form of media, I think. Like compared to movie and film, generally it's like if you like it, it's good. There's not a lot of objectivity in these things, I know, but music is the one thing I think where it's like you can't really define good and bad. It's just how it makes you feel, what it evokes. Mm-hmm. And I think other forms of media like aren't as strong in that aspect, which is why music I think is my answer. What are your thoughts? I'm curious. Am I allowed to ask you? Am I allowed to turn it back on you?
No. This is my podcast.
Okay.
You have to shoot someone. Who do you shoot? And that person has to be alive, of course.
Can I dox my political? But Donald Trump. Move on.
What is the world in need of?
A bullet.
Donald Trump
passed on it. I was going to give a negative answer, which is like what the world needs less of, but I think I should try and go the other way.
You can give both.
I think less self-interest. There's a way to spin that to make it more like positive, I guess. Like, but yeah, more looking out for other people, I think.
Okay. If you're given the opportunity to run a company that currently exists and you must not sell it, and you actually have to run it, which one would it be?
Presuming I had the skills to do such a thing. A company like...
Like, you would have the resources to gain those skills.
Yeah.
You still have to learn them, but...
Either like Google or something like Meta/Facebook or whatever that company is. I think I would have agendas. Yeah.
You'd have...
I would have agendas going in to run a company like that. Tech is a very important space. I think I could be like the anti-AI guy.
Oh, interesting.
I think the space could use like responsible pioneering and like navigating the AI space. And it seems like companies are going like very full into it. And so a big company like that that's kind of like a bit more hesitant and is like helpful in navigating the space would be good. I think that would be a fun thing for me to do.
That's a good answer. The classic Genie 3 wishes question.
Okay.
So, what 3 wishes would you choose if I got a person to walk in here with a lamp? It's a little dusty, so you hold it, you rub it a bit, and Will Smith pops out. And
Yep. Okay.
And he does a little song and dance, and then he follows it up with what 3 wishes do you have? What would those wishes be?
I think practicality-wise, you have to just pick like infinite money or at least enough money to not have to worry about working very much, which seems like the boring cop-out answer. But then it's more so you can like live your life pursuing what you're interested in rather than having to worry about the stresses of like providing for yourself. So money is always the first option, I think. The second is, I think, good health for me and my family. Not like eternal life or anything outrageous, just for me and my family, I think, as well. To be able to live to a nice, old but comfortable age. Nothing like, I don't need to be alive 1,000 years, just to be in good health. I can make it to 100, that would be nice. And then I'm gonna make the third a fun one. I want a private like Michelin star grade chef.
Okay.
Like just on call for me.
Okay.
Those are the 3 things I care about in life: money, food, and my family.
Amazing. Amazing. I like those answers.
Yeah. In hindsight, I'm thinking I could have answered some of them a bit better, but maybe that's
They were very basic,
fine.
But thank you.
The wishes are basic, but I think there's a reason they're popular. They're common answers.
What is your favorite childhood book or movie?
You can't ask me my favorite childhood movie and not expect an Interstellar mention, which is still my favorite. I'm going to skip past it because everyone that's watching this will have heard about it. Interstellar is very good. My favorite childhood book. That's a more complicated one. See, I don't read a lot. I haven't read a lot. I was like one of those kids that was big into like sci-fi literature when I was a kid, but like they were all decent.
One of the many.
Yeah, of course. The Maze Runner, when they were all coming out, I feel it was like an explosion at the time of all these series. And I read a lot of those. But they were kind of more like for fun than anything. My favorite childhood book, I'd say probably The Hunger Games. I read that series. It was year 9 when we were on field studies. I went through from book 1 to 3. And they were like really good. They were comfortable at the time. It was kind of like a time where I was missing home a bit. And it was nice to just like be distracted by it. And they were quite a good read. So, yeah, I'll pick that series or just book 1 or whatever.
Yeah. Nice answer. And then the last question, what's your favorite game of all time?
That's such a difficult question. My favorite game of all time. Oh, God. I don't know. That's so hard. It's so hard to pick one. Let me just think of the thing that immediately comes to mind. I'll pick Minecraft, which is very funny given that I haven't played it in quite a while because it was so special to me when I was younger. I think I couldn't think of anything else that I could justify saying. Because I think that's immortal. I'll be 80 and I'll still enjoy it.
Very nice. Very nice. That's the end of the quick fire segment.
That was extremely stressful. It really did give job interview.
I really tried to.
Yeah, that was very entertaining though. It puts you on the spot in a kind of strange way. It's like pressure, but it's good. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and because I have a habit of asking questions and not answering them myself,
Yeah.
I will go through each one.
I suspected that was coming. Good.
Best controller. I would have to say I've got this Nintendo Switch Pro controller at home that I really like.
Yeah.
It's either that or the Xbox controller.
Yeah.
What is the best?
Answer my complicated version of the question.
The best controller.
Controller of human behavior. That's how we'll phrase it.
Resource availability.
Interesting.
I think I think it's, and I've through going to Pakistan especially, and through seeing a lot of different conditions and different backgrounds, I have noticed that when people don't have the space to make through their fundamental needs, they can't get to the level of thinking about anything else. So yeah, definitely, I think 100% it's got to do with resource availability.
Yeah.
I think as well, it's really sad that there's very capable people in these sorts of countries, but they just don't have the resources.
Yeah.
And I noticed this as well in my personal experience. When I moved into Trinity, I noticed that I didn't necessarily change so much as the resources around me. And they sort of pushed me to getting marks that I wouldn't have otherwise got, or pushed me towards like a competitive environment, pushed me towards like so many different things that like, even like things like camps, even things like sport's a big one. In my old school, we weren't all able to get into sport. This is really weird because in our school, one of the biggest gripes against the school was everyone had to do sport. In fact, it was one of the big blessings of the school.
Yeah.
And like co-curricular and sport is genuinely a blessing from like a resource-rich sort of school.
Yeah, definitely.
This is where like I had no problems getting into the chess club. In other schools, if you want to get into the chess club and play every single week, you have to be really good at chess.
Yeah.
If you want to get into a basketball team, you have to be really good at basketball. To a level that an average individual that enjoys the sport can't actually do. But yeah.
I see.
Anyways, what is the best
answer.
university degree?
Mm-hmm.
Best university degree? In terms of enjoyability, I think probably doing a science degree. Or even a psych degree.
Yeah.
But psych not so much for the assignments, but more for the lectures and the content that you learn. I think like the way that they assess psychology is a bit rough because they sort of do have to narrow down a bunch of students.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's picked so much as well. It's because it's genuinely like interesting content. But yeah, in terms of employment, I think engineering is the best. I think doing something like electrical or mechanical engineering, I think would get you to a lot of places.
Yeah.
Well, like what of the other many fields in engineering? I think it's also because people generally are, I think, not as competitive in networking and engineering. It's very easy to get good at networking and engineering. It doesn't really take much. As long as you just talk to people every now and again, you're like pretty good. In other fields, it's really tough to get really good at like networking.
I think it depends on the field as well. The thing is with certain other degrees that are vocational, you're kind of competing for a spot to do a job which is inherently kind of like, how do I say it? It's not very collaboration inclined, you know? Something like engineering, I feel, it's the sort of field where you're pushed to work together with people. That's the best work is done in groups, and it's collaborations between companies, between unis and companies. It's kind of a big thing in engineering and in science as well. So I think then you get cohorts that are more about boosting each other because that's the kind of skills that you get taught.
It does have a really good community behind it for sure.
Absolutely.
I think as well, like oftentimes in other subjects in the university, the people that are caught cheating are mainly the people that are using AI or something like that.
Yeah.
In engineering, the biggest concern in cheating is that people are sitting together. Like,
Yeah, exactly right.
It's just even like although that's not a good scenario either way, even that sort of signals the sort of culture that you've got. I mean, you've sort of experienced it as well in the transition between law and
I was
science,
just
the
gonna say
different
that, yeah.
sorts of communities that you have.
Yeah.
And it's not as noticeable when you're only doing one thing, but when you change in between things, like
Yeah.
I'm doing engineering and science, seeing how my neuroscience crowd is and how formal and how like stiff everyone is compared to how relaxed and group environment engineering is,
Yeah.
it's very fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you have this idea of university where everyone's sort of the same and they're just doing different majors in essence rather than, but genuinely different degrees actually reach out to different sort of character types, which is very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think there's more good or bad people in the world? I think there's more good people in the world.
Good
In terms
answer.
of actions, this sort of got mentioned in the Ethan podcast, if anyone ended up getting that. It's a very hidden podcast. In terms of actions, I think the magnitude of the bad is greater, but there is far more good actions in the world.
I like that perspective. Yeah.
She's a 10, but she asks, would you love me if I was a worm, and psychoanalyzes you for 30 minutes? I think it's going to be like an 8 or 9. Just because I think
Interesting.
after a
Okay.
few days, it then becomes a bit. I think that's just what ends up happening.
Well, I think I just said 7 and then didn't actually explain anything behind it. So do I have the space to we can
Go
talk
ahead.
about
This
that
is
now?
a more free zone. I wanted the first part to be like intense. Now it's like casual.
I think that it's reflective of, well, it depends on the motivation for asking a question like that. It's kind of, it seems like a very insecure thing to ask, and then to dwell on it for half an hour
That's
a
the
day.
point. Yeah.
And it kind of, I think, would give you doubts, like, is this person actually here for the right reason? Like, what's going on? And I think it would feel like you're kind of being scrutinized in a way. It's almost like, if I say no, I don't love her because she's a worm, then it's reflecting negatively on me for some reason. Like, I'm fickle, or, you know what I mean? It's like, it plants ideas that don't need to be there. And it's like, I don't think a relationship has space for that sort of thing to that degree,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Maybe a 7 was too generous. She's a 3. I don't want worms in my
Well,
life.
because like I think it like drags it by like a point or two down. Like I think it's a big enough deal to drag it down by a point or two. But I think that's just what it is. I think everyone has weaknesses, and if that's really the only weakness, then something you can sort of just cope with. Like it's just half an hour in the day. The rest of the day's fine.
Yeah.
Just like I don't know, make some fun out of it. Get creative,
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I said, it depends on what
It depends on the after
reasoning
effect,
is
actually.
behind asking like if someone's a bit insecure, I know that I am obviously not a very insecure person, but I can tolerate someone that's a little insecure. That's fine. That was sarcasm in case you didn't pick up on that. That's okay, but it's more like when someone's kind of asking you it in an insinuatory way, like I don't know, feels like a psychological game that's a bit
Valid. Valid. What is the meaning of life? I think the meaning of life, as convoluted as it sounds, is to find your thing. No matter what it is, I think people that aren't living their lives out, in my sort of view, are people that just haven't found what to do. I think a lot of people, and I think people would disagree with this, but I find that whenever I live my life, the most fun I'm having is when I've got things going, like this podcast, or like when I'm like going home, like I know what I want to do with my day. It doesn't have to be like a full-on structured thing, but I've got things to do. It's just about finding those things that work for you. And I think if you do that to a day-to-day basis, you've achieved what life needs.
Absolutely.
And then secondary to that would probably be community and connections.
Yeah.
And community not in the traditional sense of like going to a certain environment and having a community from there. It's about finding individuals and then creating your own little community.
Exactly. Maybe to go back a bit, do you think everyone has a thing?
I think everyone does have a thing.
Yeah? Is that something that's kind of a predetermined, it's a matter of when you'll find it? Or do you think that these are things that can happen naturally,
It's circumstantial. I think it's all about framing. So I think In an alternate life, I could have done law and I could have enjoyed it really well and ended up doing really good.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole life has this environment such that I just wasn't inclined in that direction. There could have been an alternate life where I was like really into architecture.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the
George
circumstances.
Costanza.
Yeah.
Shout out to George
Vanderlei.
Costanza if he's watching.
Not George Costanza.
Art
Vanderlei.
yeah.
But yeah, it's all about like environment and finding out. It's a mix of things. You have like obviously there's predispositions to doing things.
Yeah.
But then there's also I think a stronger aspect is what sort of build up is around you. Like this podcast works really well for me because all I have to do is pack this mic, pack this laptop. I've got a bag. It all fits in there. Just put the backpack on. I can go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's like an example of me finding a thing that seems to be my thing currently.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. Favorite form of media. I think my answer has changed. It used to be movies. Now it's books.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is something about a book where you have to spend far more time than a movie sitting through. And if you properly commit to a book, which I think if I get through the first few pages of a book, I've committed to the entirety of that book.
Yeah.
What you have to do is you have to have a certain level of humbleness within yourself to be like, okay, no matter how bad this book goes, we're going to stick through it to the end. I think for some reason a book calls that out in me. And I think that creates a very special sort of circumstance where you sort of just have to hear out what the author does and where the author takes it. And then really sort of like it calls out a level of empathy within you that you just have to see it within the author's perspective rather than if you have like a conversation with someone, everyone's constantly butting in and they have their own perspectives. A book sort of humbles you in some sort of way. And then it presents an idea in such a form that, I don't know, because it goes on for a lot longer, it transforms you a lot more, I think.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I've noticed, of course, you're reading a lot more. You're telling me about what you're reading, and it's very fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So there's a saying, I suppose, Mum uses it a fair bit, which is life's too short to finish a bad book. And I know that a lot of people have that sort of view. I think I'm kind of in that category a little bit. But you're saying for someone like yourself, you kind of have to stick through with it to hear out what the author's saying, kind of.
I think majority of the time I have to stick to it. I think like what happens is that this happens a lot in society, I think. Is that we've gotten to a point in society where we have so many resources around us that are afforded to us that you can go through the rest of your life without necessarily doing anything painful or like anything with struggle.
Sure.
And I think that by doing what I do with books and sitting through it, you go through, even through a really bad book, you learn things from it.
Yeah.
You learn many things. You learn, firstly, your distastes, which is something really hard to learn nowadays because I think generally these things get muted because you're not going through distasteful circumstances all the time. You learn that. You learn that this is a book that's been published. Someone must be out there reading it and enjoying it. Yeah. You learn that there must be a certain perspective to this book and trying to find out that perspective. And then, I think those are the two big lessons that are really important for me to keep close. That's why I'm also really careful when I select books initially. Because I don't want to open up a book and read a few pages and then have to commit to it.
Yeah. I suppose it's very easy when all the books you read are from the same extremely niche genre and you buy them all from the same section of the same bookstore, but, you know.
It's true. But I think also the tough part as well is that sometimes I just don't have the span for the book. I just don't have the attention span for it. It's not really so much for what the book is saying. It's just that I'm still getting good at this because I've only really started reading for about a year, reading recreationally. And like I find it like a really big struggle, especially with non-fiction, trying to like get through the entire book. Just because like fiction, I think the authors generally put in place a lot of like fun little bits and pieces that keeps you engaged constantly. And non-fiction is about expressing a point and getting through that. And I think I want to get better at reading non-fiction, but it's gonna be tough.
Right. My follow-up was going to be kind of, given that the genre of books is very hyper-specific, it's quite a nice genre. I mean, you've read like segments of books, in the past. I'd be curious to see like where you would branch out next in terms of genre or a type of. It's not really so much a question. It's more just I would be interested to see like, as your reading kind of evolves over time and as you keep reading, where you start taking it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm not fully sure. I think only time will tell then.
That's what I'm saying. You can't answer now. It's more of a let's see.
I have a feeling that I'm gonna try out more nonfiction. I might not like it, but then I might find a different fiction section that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't really see myself getting into sci-fi currently. They seem a little bit too much on world building. I'm more about characters. Next question. You have to shoot someone. Who do you shoot?
I'm curious about this. My answer is taken. You can't repeat it.
I have to shoot someone. I feel like this answer has to be like, I think currently someone in America needs a bullet.
Yeah. Someone who should not be named, yeah.
No. This isn't even about Trump himself. I think someone needs a bullet in America such that that person's death would require systematic change. I'm not sure if Trump would actually bring about so much systematic change.
I think it's more what it represents.
What? I think we need to put a bullet in one of the what is it called? The Supreme Court, or what's the court? The highest court in
I think
America.
So. Yeah.
One of the Republicans in there, because there is an outweigh of Republicans over Democrats in that pool, and if you want to pass any law, it's very difficult to.
Yeah, look, my stance is we'll try and not make it too outrageously political, but my take is it's more of a symbolic thing. Like, I'm not necessarily advocating for like assassinating politicians you don't agree with, but I think back in the day, back in the good old days in America, I think presidential assassinations were more of a like real thing than just the fiction of today. Like, John F. Kennedy and whatnot. Now it's like, I feel that the structure of their politics now increasingly so is that the people in power can quite literally just do whatever they want. And even against the face of like really vocal, negativity from the public and outcry and protest, it just keeps happening.
Actually,
like something, all of the ice raids, all of the invading Greenland. Shout out to my fans in Venezuela. Like all of this stuff is happening. The Epstein files, all this stuff, and it's like there's a very loud outcry about it, and it feels like nothing's happening because it's a mix of the people having no power to do anything or being too dumb to care. It can't be that. You know what I'm saying? It's a very difficult situation.
I actually changed my answer.
Yeah?
I want Putin to cop a bullet on his head. And that's not because I necessarily hate Putin with all of my brain. It's not that. I think it'll be interesting what happens to a global stage when, like, firstly, if the next leader of Russia will sort of become like Putin in its power, or whether it would break down. And I have a strong feeling it would break down because Putin is a very specific kind of person. And it'll be very interesting to see Europe's reaction towards an unstable Russia and America's reaction to an unstable Russia.
Yeah.
Because it's such a large landmass. I really want to see like how that would go. No, obviously I don't condone killing anyone.
Actually, I've got a very good answer. If I was in a room and I had Putin, Trump, and Netanyahu lined up, and I had two bullets, I'd shoot Netanyahu twice. Sarcasm. It's very funny commenting on politics when you have no idea what you're talking about.
Indeed, it's amazing.
Let's move on.
Anyways, what is the world in need of? I said this in Ethan's podcast, and I'll probably say it again. The world is in need of empathy. I think understanding that other people's lives can exist as they are. And
you've used the right word to express what I was trying to get at. That's spot on. Yeah.
I found it really funny where like your framing of it was like on the like negative expression of it, not negative in the traditional regard, but negative expression of it, but you couldn't find the positive expression of the word.
Yes.
I found that really interesting.
Yeah. Well, because it feels like I think mainly when we consume news and stuff, it's kind of overwhelmed by negativity, and you kind of always hear about bad things that are happening. But, you know, it's always negative reactions to decisions that people have made, or self-interested decisions of politicians or whatnot. So it's kind of, that's how we're trained to look at things. So,
That's another reason why I've been liking reading the books that I read, is because it
Yeah.
also changes the way that you express things in your life.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
I'm
I
such an
think
idiot, I
empathy,
forgot
in terms
empathy.
of like, I think it's just that, I think genuinely people don't understand, and I've like discussed politics generally with a lot of people, although I'm not necessarily, I don't even come off as someone that's like political necessarily, but I just find the conversation interesting because I think a conversation about politics reveals a lot about the way someone thinks, and I think it's just like an easy, it's an easy topic to bring up because everyone knows something about it, whether they don't know much, but they know something, and then the way that they express what they know, that it's the way that really teaches you something about the person.
Yeah.
And I've noticed the way that people talk about politics generally seems like I don't agree with something, so I think the whole of society should do this. And
Yeah.
even, not to get into touchy waters, even when I was like a lot more of a conservative Muslim, I still really thought that there's a big, large difference. There's a reason why the West separated church and state. And I think that was because we realized at some period of time that ideas of like a religious a homogeneous religion isn't compatible with a broader society, because people are naturally just going to have different belief systems. Even if you have everyone believing in the same religion, there's certain subsects that will exist, and the people in power might not agree with them.
Yeah.
And you have to really think about, like, a government's role is to keep the community safe. It's not to enforce opinions.
Yes.
And I think that's something that people need to get across. It's very ironic that in the Western world, where we've separated church and state, we still have leaders. And it's not necessarily pointed at Trump, even though it might sound like it. We have a lot of leaders in the West that pass laws that don't have the community's interest at heart. It rather has an agenda of politics involved.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm conservative, so I have to do this. Or I'm liberal, so I have to do this. It's very rare that you get a leader around that is like, okay, I don't care about your politics. This is about the greater good of society.
Yeah.
In fact, there's almost none that are like that. Because they want to preserve their party recognition and whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's really sad.
I wonder if this is a generational thing, or if this is just a matter of the political game. Kind of by being in politics long enough, it kind of, that's the only way to make it in the political game. But
I
you think
think
of figures like, like Zoran, I think there would be exceptions to the rule.
I think it's the political game, but I think on top of that, if you get enough people against the political game, you can change the systems that create the political game.
Shout out to our loyal fans in Iran.
Indeed.
On the topic,
My condolences.
My condolences as well.
To those who passed. If you were given the opportunity to run a company that currently exists and you must not sell it and run it, which one would it be? My idea would probably be to run a company like, so it would be similar to yours, where it might be something like Meta or Twitter or X or something like that. But I think the way that I would switch the company would be, social media is one platform that we have. How can we branch out towards making our profits from this into little side projects to help our communities and really make it, I think there's a temptation within businesses to be like, this is our business and we have to eliminate every competition in here, rather than being, we're a strong business in this regard. That's good. We'll stay a strong business. We'll try to hold on to what we have. Yeah. But then let's do things for people to show that not only that our business is worthwhile in a moral landscape, also in a way to genuinely help people. Like, you can start, like, I know a lot of bigger businesses do little side projects in Africa and stuff. even like things like I was looking at in Burwood recently. I was looking at all of the recent art things that the council has started. I think businesses can also have quite a like strong impact in just creating good culture and art around the place. And just imagine if like Facebook or Twitter or things like that communicated with the government and we're like, okay, we're going to start an initiative. We'll pay for all of it because we have so many, that we've got profits and we can use this. And let's just boost the community and culture. Let's hold events in communities that people can just hang out in, like do things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this question has come up. I forget the context exactly, but when this sort of question gets posed, it's like, because we're outsiders to a company, and as you say, you don't care about shareholders and competitive advantage and stuff. The question kind of becomes like, if you were going to use a company as like a vehicle for change, like how would you do that? You know what I mean? Like we kind of answered it in a similar way, and maybe we asked Anton or we've asked someone. This has come up before,
I think Anton,
and it's kind of like, when you pick a company, the motivation is like, how could you do the most amount of positive change in an area that you care about? So
for sure.
It's a good question.
Genie Three Wishes. I've said this before, but like a way that I can temporarily gain space, and like I came up with this device at some point where if you use this device,
I want a contraption that gives me space. Okay.
You use this device and it's like a button basically, and you click this button, and it pauses time in the real world and transports you into a massive library.
Yeah.
Only has a librarian in it to just keep it going, and it's just yours. You just have this space to do whatever you want. You can read, you can write about stuff, or you can just sit there and just digest everything. I think just having that in your pocket would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be my answer for one of them. The second one...
I'm really not happy with my answer.
The second one... It's a tough question.
If you need time to think, maybe I might go back and retroactively change one of mine. Because I thought of another one that would be really fun, I think. I would replace my infinite money one with the ability to speak every language.
That's good.
I just think that would be such an incredible skill. Because different languages have so many subtleties in terms of communication and like how things are expressed, kind of like certain phrases and idioms you can't translate directly. And it would be so fascinating to like speak to different people from different cultures in their dialect and like pick up on all the cues of how people communicate. That'd just be so cool.
Yeah.
You could go anywhere in the world. I think that would be really cool. That would be really good.
I think my second wish would be, there's an Adventure Time episode where there's a bunch of businessmen that work for Finn and Jake.
I remember this one. Yeah.
And I'm going to get those businessmen.
Okay. Okay. All right. To do what?
I have things to do. I've got plans, James. And,
okay. Right.
I need the businessmen.
Sure.
My third wish. A podcasting room. Or just a room where I can do my creative endeavors.
You have a second button that teleports you to the podcasting.
No. But this is like a physical space.
Yeah,
I think that the thing with the button is that you can't really bring back anything into it. It's just its own separate space. This one is like a room for your creative endeavors. So then I can branch out into art or music or podcasting or even just generally like a space for like reading or even a space for study.
Yeah.
Like hold study groups, things like that. But yeah, that would be my third wish.
It's cool. They're very creative.
Yeah. I thought to give some creative answers.
Yeah. So what happens when you have time to prepare, I suppose.
I didn't prepare any of these in general.
Good. You've done well.
Favorite childhood book or movie? My favorite childhood movie. I've said this plenty of times. It has to be Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
And then favorite childhood book. I didn't read much as a kid, so I just never read much until I just counted my books. I've read 11 books in the past year, which is infinitely more than what I've read. I literally read one book I've read which I guess would count as my favorite, which
Mm.
is one of the massive books of Del Toro Quest, where they've got all of the
Yeah.
collection of Del Toro Quest and they put it in one book. It's like 1,000
Yeah.
and something pages. I've read the
Yeah.
entire book, and that's the only time that I read recreationally in like year 4.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. The key word is recreationally. I didn't pin you for one of those guys that just read spark notes of all his.
no.
Year 12
I
English
actually
books.
did read my English books.
But none of those would ever make my favorite book section, I think.
Not really, no.
No.
Favorite game of all time? You know, there's 2 ways to take this question.
Mm.
There's what experiences you get out of the game, and then the game itself. I think
Yeah.
the game itself, League,
Yeah.
and then the experiences that I get out of it, probably Valorant.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's
I
an
mean, you
interesting
hear a lot of
answer.
negative experiences, but I
I
think there's
have,
something
yeah.
about like having
Yeah.
a game where like I can just sort of be in my own space and just talk to random people
Yeah.
and sort of just run my own bits, and it's like you know what it's like playing Valorant. It's like you get a free opportunity to just like, you know how comedians before they get their like stand-up comedy set, they like go to a bunch of like local comedy
Yeah.
bars
Yeah.
and then they just practice stuff. That's how Valorant is really,
Yeah.
in my
Right.
perspective. It's just things to just like shoot, and you're never gonna see these people again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just you can just run your own thing.
It's fair enough. I think
yeah.
that's kind of how because my tastes change a bit, and then I get really into a game, and then I kind of move on, and so there's like a lot I've liked over the years, but I kind of thought because I've liked so much, it's the best way to answer it for me was just the feeling, the kind of emotional attachment, and what
Sure.
the meaning it has, which is why I picked Minecraft. I think
Mhm.
because like I've got memories, I would have been playing. I'd basically taught Zeke how to read and write by like typing in the chat with him when he was like 4. And I played a lot with Alyssa and Annika back in the day. Played some build battles and whatnot.
Mhm.
And they're good memories. Even like the soundtrack is still like emotional, which it is
For
for
sure,
many people
yeah.
because it's
That does hit like my
um,
top few games for sure.
yeah,
I just didn't have such a strong. Like, I didn't play it as much as what other people did.
Yeah.
So then I didn't have as many experiences from that. I think in recent times I've played a lot of Valorant, spoken to a lot of people from there. So there's a lot of memories and experiences from there.
yeah.
But yeah. So that's the end of the quick fire segment.
That was very quick. That was a brisk 45 minutes.
Yeah, even more. because
Yeah.
we didn't even start
Very
recording.
nice.
Um,
That was good. I like that. That was a good segment.
yeah.
I'm
What's-
impressed.
Do you have like anything that you want to talk about necessarily? That can't be your piece of media. That's later.
No, I'll let
No?
you carry through.
Okay. This next segment is something that happened in the Liam episode that I
Okay.
thought was really good. It's the friends segment. So we've asked people
Okay.
to bring in some things,
This is worrying.
and
Good.
you have to guess who brought it in
Okay.
and answer it,
Sure.
and then I will tell you who this is.
That
Okay.
sounds fun.
So.
I did see some of these in Liam's episode, so I'm excited.
Okay. This question.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's 2 parts of this.
Okay.
First of all, when is he going to lean into his feminine side? He knows he'll look drop dead gorgeous in a miniskirt.
This could be anyone now. This could be anyone.
Would you like to answer the question? And then so the way this is gonna
Okay.
work is because there's 2 parts. You answer the question. I'll ask you the next
Oh,
one. You
okay.
answer that question, and then I'll reveal who it is, and you can guess before that.
Okay. My answer would be I think I already embraced my feminine side enough. I think any more would be very dangerous for all of us, I think. But we'll see. We'll see how this year goes.
We'll see how this year
We'll
goes.
see. Actually, we'll see how the next few weeks go. Valentine's, Feb 14th. No plans as of yet, so we'll see what
Is that
happens.
an open invite to anyone watching?
Take it as you will. Whoever DMs me first, it's a rat race. Whoever gets in
Well,
the
I've
DMs
dressed
first.
to ask you out. That was the whole point of bringing you in.
I'm blushing. If this podcast, if there's an abrupt cut, you know what happened. He rejoins and his belt's out. His shirt's, the buttons are offset. Anyway, move on.
This is quite a throwback to the beginning of Liam's episode where my dad asked the question if there's anything illegal or adult that happens in that episode.
Not yet, but we'll see. There's a lot of time
left. He's quite
left
a fortune teller, my father. We love him for that. I think secondly and more seriously, I want to know what would satisfy him in life. He's very smart. He has a lot of potential, is family oriented, can succeed in career, intellect, money, relationships. What is his enough?
Do I start with my
a little
guess
extension
of
to the
who it
question?
is?
It's like when would Jaymes look back and say, you know what, I've made it?
That's so interesting.
It's a very profound question.
So I'm kind of I think for the next few I'm gonna like listen to the question and engage with it first because my mind was just going to who asked it, but I'll start with answering the question.
Okay.
I don't think I want anything that outrageous in life. As I said, I think what makes life meaningful are the people in it. So for me, my kind of vision of what the future would look like is finding someone and having a family and just being in a situation where I have a family to support. I have my close people with me and I'm working a job which I enjoy. It doesn't have to be like, studying black holes or just complete leisure, but something that I'm at least happy with, that I don't want it to feel like work, and in which I'm making enough to just support my family and not have to worry about it. I don't know that money is kind of like a difficult way to answer this question because you don't want it to just seem like a question of how rich are you going to be. But
yeah,
I think the point is like it's more about the stress, I think, of having to provide for people. So if I'm in a situation where I'm able to like apply myself in a way I'm enjoying and I've got a good family, I've got my friend network intact, and I'm able to maintain a life like that, then I'll be happy.
Okay.
Like what my parents have, like what they're trying to provide for me. I think that's it.
And now, would you like to guess who this was?
For some reason, this gives me Ryan vibes. I'm thinking who's like the most likely to overtly flirt with me through a secondhand question on the podcast. Either him or... No, Liam's not that fruity. I'm gonna lock in Ryan. I'm probably wrong, but that's what it is.
You are correct.
Yeah, very
Ryan.
good. Mwah. Love to you in the UK, I believe, is where he is now, isn't it?
Something like that. Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
In the UK, I think. He'll be back soon.
Very good.
Yeah. The next question.
Good questions.
Is a singular question.
Okay.
What would it take to get you to run bot lane in league with this individual? It wasn't me that asked this question.
This is probably a Jaymes question.
It is a Jaymes question.
He's the only other person I know that's played league with you more than once.
Yeah.
So he must have a very high tolerance for you.
Oh, he loves it. We played a bot lane game yesterday.
No,
had a blast.
I told you, Jaymes, I've pledged. Once my study is done, I'm actually interested. It sounds like fun.
There we go, Jaymes. I told you,
it sounds like fun.
I knew I would get him in.
No, 100% I would. I think that my already fragile mental state would shatter if I tried to bring that into my life now when I'm at uni. But when my study's done, I'm using that as an excuse for a lot of things. I'm sure someone's asked a question about my driver's license, so maybe we'll get there. But yeah, when study's done, a lot of things will happen. Bot
Very
being
nice.
one of them.
Very nice.
I've had 2 people ask me to bottom, and we've had 2 questions. So I'm looking forward to the next one.
The next one, this person has 2 questions.
Okay.
What song would be the soundtrack to your life, or even a period of your life? It's a really good question.
What song would be the soundtrack to my life? Can you ask me the second question? Give me a second to think about it.
If you had to survive a zombie apocalypse, which friend are you choosing as your companion and why?
Damn,
They're 2 really good questions. I've been surprised at the caliber of these questions, actually, for this podcast episode.
Yeah. I think the cop-out answer would be Zeke, because apart from him being my brother and very dear friend, he's played a lot of Project Zomboid, because he's like also on the spectrum, so I think he'd have the good survival instincts. But I'll leave him out of the discussion for the sake of interest.
Unfortunately, he didn't reply to me.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I think he woke up at like 11 and then, That's Zeke for you. Who would be an interesting pick?
Yup. He didn't reply.
No, I'm not surprised. I'm going to call him and yell at him.
Heartbroken. I'm kidding. Love you,
The Zeke episode's going to be very tense.
Oh, it'll be amazing. I'm so excited.
It'll start in a fist fight.
Mm-hmm.
Depends what I want out of it. I think Anton has the athleticism to be like my protector. I think if I needed defending, I think that I would be best able to kill time in a zombie apocalypse with you, possibly.
With me?
Yeah, I think so. We've got a very nice one-on-one dynamic.
I think so, yeah.
That's not like saying that in a negative way to anyone else in our group, but I think we'd manage to like be optimistic about it. But no, it's a very hard one to pick because I don't really think much about the survival part of it, or like, it's more about someone that keeps you like mentally grounded, that you've got things in common with, that you're like a good pair to like stay mentally resilient, I think, and you'd be very good for that. And I hope I would be able to do the same for you as well.
Jaymes will be returning for a third episode.
Oh, I'm blushing again. Who asked? Oh, I didn't even answer the song question. Fuck, that's a brutal one. Something Coldplay, surely, right? That's like my thing at this point. We'll go with, I think, Adventure of a Lifetime. That's a good one.
That's nice.
Nice and upbeat. It's, yeah.
And who do you think asked this?
Could this be a Callum question, maybe?
No, actually, I haven't had enough time to reach out to Callum.
I think he might be away as well, possibly.
Thank God.
I think he might be away. Do I get another guess, or
yes, you
just
okay?
Guess. I'll take one more because I don't want to run through everyone.
Well, I mean, we're almost an hour and a bit in, so. We will probably have to cut and then go into a different spot.
This is probably a Liam question.
This is, in fact, a Liam question.
Yeah. Shout out to... So, funny story about Liam is a bit of a detour. So, yesterday night, we had a bit of a funny bit going on. I, at 11 p.m., got a DM on Discord, which I will read because it was quite funny. I was watching a movie with parents, and I got a DM which said, "When are we boning?" with like 8 G's at the end. And then I thought it would be funny to reply with a screenshot of the Uber app with like a ride set to his location, to like his house. And then he replied, "My house is free." And there was a bit of like back and forth banter.
He meant the movie, right?
Yeah, he means the movie The Bone Temple, 28 years later. And I thought it was funny to see how long I could drag it out and keep the sort of awkward tension of like me trying to indulge the bit, but also making clear that I don't want to bone. Even though I knew very well what he was talking about. Why did this come up? Yeah, because that's a movie that features zombies in it. So I thought maybe it would have been fresh on his mind. So hence the question. Yeah. That song question is a good one, Liam.
We have another question coming in.
Okay.
This person has sent 2 questions.
Sure.
The first question is, does it shake and bounce? And how's this twerking practice going?
Alyssa?
No.
Really? Oh, Annika. No. So I have to answer both of these questions.
This is one question, by the way.
Oh, okay.
There's another question.
It's just got many layers to it. Look, practice is slow at the moment. I haven't really been on it. Maybe just a few like shakes in the mirror every now and then. But no, I haven't started my lessons yet. I'm keeping that one a surprise. Okay. I've been told I have potential though, so it may shake and bounce. Yeah.
The next question from this guy is, does he believe his chosen discipline is at any risk of being replaced by AI? And where does he see the future of physics going?
I don't think it's at risk of being replaced by AI. I think AI is in kind of a very odd spot. It kind of like shows its face in areas you wouldn't expect, and is starting to do jobs you would never think it would. Like, I think most people are expecting it to just come in and put a lot of, finance people out of a job, or things that seem like you could automate pretty easily even without AI. Like you know what I mean? But then it started like replacing, people in the art fields or like really weird spots. But I think the thing with physics, which is a bit strange about the degree, is kind of you go and learn about really niche specific things. Like I spent my whole last semester learning about general relativity and stuff, which is really cool, but completely irrelevant in any job unless you want to go into academia and study it. So like I'm not under any illusion that what I'm studying is going to like land me a job doing that thing. It's more about the skill set, right? So like when I'm studying physics, it's not because I want to be in a lab for my career. It's more of the skills. It's the stepping stone. And I think at the end of the day, AI is like, it's going to replace people. It's going to be something to adapt to, but it can't replace some skills that are just inherently human. So like, I like to think that some of what I'm learning is like going to be useful, so I'm not going to be replaced.
Yeah.
But also physics ties into AI, like some of the analytical skills, all of the way it's coded is a lot of maths. It's maths and physics are kind of interchangeable, but like algorithms, all of the math behind how it works is kind of in a physics area. So
I think AI is probably going to supplement, like it's going to help the physics field rather than replace it.
Well, there's a lot of like I'm not super knowledgeable about this, so I don't want to comment and say things that are just blatantly untrue. But even in like medical areas, in some of my research for honors, like I've seen AI get used as a buzzword, but it kind of like can enable the science you're doing in some interesting ways. So like
for sure,
it can benefit a ton of people, and it's just another layer on the field, kind of like just another tool or an instrument you can use to do the same work.
Yeah.
But it's more like we're currently in a weird phase where it's just replacing people rather than helping them, which is, hopefully humanity gets on top of that, and I'm not going to be working at McDonald's. But yeah.
Maybe you won't have to work at McDonald's.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. We hope not.
Well, they've got the machines up now.
Yeah. Let's see.
Who was this? These two questions by these two very different questions.
And who asked this? The last question gives me like Nicola, but he wouldn't ask if it shakes and bounces. So I think, is this Connor?
It is Connor.
I've been pretty spot on with these. Been very other than a bit of a slip up for Liam.
The next question is, do you wear wigs?
That's elite. Whoever came up with that, that's really funny. Will I wear wigs? Perhaps. We'll see. Maybe in episode 3. That's really good.
The next question. Have you worn wigs?
What? I'll let you ask the next one because I know where this is going.
Will you ever wear wigs?
Maybe.
That's a pretty good impression by you. I did not even try for an impression. I forgot that. Anyways, the next part of this is, what year do you believe you'll finally pay off your HEX debt?
Ooh, what year? Well, let me do the mental calculus quickly. How much is my HEX debt? A lot. I don't know how the repayment scheme works. Well, the thing is, I think it might take me a while because I can see myself kind of not drifting, but it might take me a while to get my rhythm and find myself in the career where I want to like develop my career path, you know? So there might be a few years of trying different things out, getting some mentors and finding my footing. So like I don't know, maybe I'm not going to be in a position where like my income starts growing pretty quickly. So it might take me a while. What's the like standard timeline for paying it? I don't know. Is 10 years like a lot?
Well, Weber paid off his HEX in the second year of teaching at Trinity, and he taught a little bit at the school before. So I think it took him about 4 years to pay it all off, which was one of our physics teachers. Not to dox him, but yeah.
Shout out to what was his first name? Like Mark Weber, was it?
I'm not going to say that. I'm just
shout out to the mysterious Weber.
I know his first name, but we actually don't even know where he went. He just disappeared.
Oh, okay. Little Dicky, that's right. I remember. Yeah.
Anyways,
I'll put a 6 years on it maybe because also my HEX is a bit higher because of
2032.
Yeah. Probably 2032, 33 or something.
Okay.
Because I've also got some law debt from when I used to do law
Yeah,
which is hanging over
the
my
reason
head
why I
too.
asked for a specific year is because I'm planning to like note things down in the podcast episode as well, because it'll be fun to reflect on.
Oh yeah.
Who do you think asked this question?
Who asked that? Someone very funny, someone clever. Is that
May I have your attention, please? The library will be closing in 10 minutes' time at 5 p.m.
really? Is it
Hope
that
you
close
enjoyed your
already?
visit.
What?
It would be appreciated if you could
Is it
collect your
10 to
belongings
5?
and
It
make
is
your
10 to
way
5.
the
Oh my
exit.
god.
Do you now know?
Thank you.
Let's just force closing now.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right,
Come on.
sounds good. All right,
Post
as you guys have
podcast, we'll have
heard,
to do some
we will
editing.
have to move this podcast. But first, who do you think it was?
Tricky one. This could be a Nicola one, if he's responsive to text
This
messages.
is Ethan.
Really?
Yes, it was a
Oh,
really
yeah,
good question.
Fair enough. I mean, that style of humor with the will you ver vigs, that's
Yes,
very him.
indeed.
Well done. Very well done.
Anyways, we will be back, people.
See you
Did you
soon.
want to do the clap?
Ready?
Welcome back, guys.
Holy shit.
All of this nonchalant energy I had in the first half just disappears, imagine.
Yeah, we were out for about 20 minutes and I've lost any momentum I've ever had.
Yeah, I think it's a bit weird when like, I think when I've gone through this with almost every guest, apart from Anton actually, and sometimes I wish I felt that with Anton as well. There's a few things that happen in between the first segment and the second segment.
Yeah.
That's like, firstly, you don't know what to talk about because you don't want to continue talking about the topic.
Yeah.
Luckily, we paused at a good point. We're
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
end of one of the friends segment. And then there's also like, you have experiences. So when you jump back in, you're in a different emotional state.
Yeah. Now it's also very weird because the room is a lot less, the acoustics are a lot worse than the room we were in. It was like padded walls. It was very good. Now
Yeah.
I'm just hearing myself echo in my own head.
And I think
it's weird.
the acoustics sound perfectly fine to the mic as
Yeah.
well, so it doesn't even sound any different to the listener. But
I just
the
feel
room
schizophrenic,
change
yeah.
yeah, it just feels like you're in a different space. Anyways, I
All
should
good.
restart the timer.
Mm-hmm.
We're about 20 minutes ahead of this timer. Okay, continuing on. We will continue our friend segment. Last one was from Ethan. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, everyone so far.
Very good.
Thank you, Liam, Jaymes, and Ryan, and Connor, of course, as well. Okay, our next person. They have sent in 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
First one is: would you rather be sexually attracted to fruit and vegetables, or be unable to tell the difference between a muffin and a baby? So when you have a child, every time you see a muffin or another baby, they look identical.
First being sexually attracted to fruit. So I both know who asked this one and where he got it from, I'm imagining. This is that excellent Instagram page that does all those fucked hypotheticals. I would imagine, I think I might have heard this one before. It gets harder the more you think about it. Much like if you were sexually attracted to fruit. Look, I feel the fruit one is probably the best case scenario. I think there's a lot worse things you could, that could get you going than a piece of fruit. Like, maybe it would make it.
I don't know how much I want to expand on this conversation myself.
Yeah.
But
bearing in mind your dad's words,
I will have to say you can always buy another fruit.
I don't know what that means, but okay. Sure.
Anyways, the
Fruits are
next
very
part.
versatile. You could do, yeah, we'll stop it.
I think this is this is getting into territory where it's a bit tough.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna start self-reporting a bunch. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Would you rather fail out of uni now and keep all your friends, or lose all your friends, go back to the start of your degree and get perfect marks all the way through? You can't make any friends throughout either.
Can't make any new friends throughout either. Fuck, Anton knows me well, doesn't he?
It is indeed Anton. What gave it away?
I knew that he was going to be a bit spiteful after the hypothetical I crafted for him.
Indeed,
Call
indeed.
back to the first episode of the pod. But I think he knows me very well. He knows what my priorities are, and he's put the two of them against each other. Um, but I think the recurring theme in this podcast is maybe the real, joy in life was the friends we made along the way, and I think that's gonna be my answer. I think I'd take the fail in uni now, rather than have to go back. This was also a guiding factor in the situation I gave Anton, about going back in time and having to like relive your life and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think that because I assign so much value to the people in my life, it's like, what life do you have without them, sort of thing. And like achievements are great and all, and but they only get you so far. Like it doesn't bring your life meaning.
For sure, yeah.
The value in doing really well in uni and that sort of thing is more to put your life in a direction or to put your life on track so you can continue to enjoy those things. Like it's kind of like what I said earlier. The point of getting a good job and doing well at uni isn't just because that's what matters. It's to enable a lifestyle where I can enjoy what I enjoy about life, which is the people in it, So that, so like, what's the point in getting great marks and everything if you got to like start over,
Indeed. I like that.
Yeah, that was a tricky one, Anton, but not as bad as my one for you. I feel maybe I'll lean in. I might be too far away from the
I
mic.
realize that as a part of the podcast, I like facing the mic to the guest rather than myself. It's a mental thing that I like doing.
It's directional. I see.
It's not about directional. It's just I feel like the guest should see the front of the mic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
All right. Very
thank
good.
you, Anton.
Thank you very much,
For
Anton.
very nice
Well done.
hypotheticals. This next person comes in with 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
What is your hair care routine?
Okay.
How do you keep it so luscious and bouncy?
A lot of bouncing on it in this episode. My routine, I have like the Head and Shoulders like 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner, and sometimes I condition like separately after. So there's a lot of conditioning.
Oh my
going into it.
god.
I think a lot of it is just my hair is
That's
naturally
intense,
good.
man. That's a lot.
It is a lot, right? No, it's very low effort, low fuss, like nothing. I just brush it in the morning and that's it. Like I barely use anything. I think I got lucky. I've got good hair. The reason is when I was young, my dad was the kind of parent that like shaved me bald every month, like with the clippers, and it thickens your hair, and naturally it's a bit wavy. So the combination of those things makes it just generally pretty low maintenance. My hairstyle at the moment is shit, but like the routine is just that generic products and not much effort.
Yeah.
In case you couldn't tell.
The next part of this question was our generation is a low curcuminally facing a loneliness epidemic.
Is this sick? No.
As a fellow pool comp enjoyer,
Okay.
do you think our generation is struggling to find their third place? Do you know what third place means?
No, tell me.
It's like a third place. So a third place is like an area where you just like you join in with people. It's like it's a place that's not like your work and it's not your home. It's like a third place where you enjoy.
Yes.
It's like a recreational area. It's a big topic in conversation when it comes to like social psychology sort of stuff about like how as time goes on, because people are like staying at home more, there is no third space. A lot of people define Discord as like a third space now. Yeah, so that's the context.
So I got a bit distracted by the low curcuminally part. So the what epidemic?
I
What
sort
was
of
the
butchered that.
phrasing?
I'm very sorry.
Can you repeat some of the phrasing? Sorry to make you redo it, but
No,
I
all
wanna...
good. Our generation is okay.
Yeah.
Our generation is facing a loneliness epidemic.
Yes.
As a fellow pool comp enjoyer, do you think our generation is struggling to find their third place? A really good question.
That is exceptional. I think I know who it is, but that's a very good question. I think there's a lot of factors contributing to that. I think, third spaces are just harder to come by generally. I mean, for me, it's kind of a weird situation where my house, I would say, is the third space for a lot of people. Third space, that's the right terminology.
Third space, yeah, sure.
Because I host a lot at mine, and I would say, like, especially you and Anton and more people now, the circle's growing, but find my home very comfortable, I would hope, which is, like, a very important thing for me. So for me, it's kind of like the home is already kind of fulfilling that role. But this was kind of something that we mentioned like off camera like a bit ago. I think the city we live in and the times we live in, people are conscious of money and nothing's really open very much. There's not a ton of spaces socially you could go even if you wanted to. So your options are kind of limited anyway. And I felt that going like overseas a little. You see what other countries do in other places.
I'm gonna turn the brightness down of the computer.
Yeah, sure.
Another thing that happened is I forgot the charger at
Oh yeah.
the state library, and I don't want battery to run out, but I still want to be able to see.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
It's good.
So
I'll try and stay on focus. Yeah, I think.
No, I agree. Yeah.
I think they're so important, these third spaces, but they're just harder to find generally. Yeah, I think in our generation it is definitely harder.
Yeah, yeah. I think also another factor that plays into it is that oftentimes we think that third spaces have to be quite traditional in a lot of ways, where they're like you're going out to do something. I think another problem that people have, it's not even a generation thing. I think it's a problem that people have generally, is that I've actually been listening to a podcast by Trevor Noah, and in his earlier episodes when he started the podcast, there was a lot of strong focus on his and still is a strong focus on his South African background, and they have a word in South African in their dialect and their language that is about going out to meet with people, but it's not about doing something. It's a specific type of gathering where you just sit around and you just talk.
Yeah.
There's no purpose to it. And this happens at least in Pakistani culture as well, when we're sitting around and you invite family friends over. You still do have food and everything, but in this specific type of outing that they describe, you come together just as people to just enjoy each other's company, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what's being lost. And I think that's being lost on a cultural front, but as well it's being lost in a way that like there's so much being missed out on to a personal development level.
Yeah,
which is why I enjoy this as well. This is sort of creating that third space, and we have a lot of outings that I bet this is more about immortalizing the feeling because we do it naturally anyways. But this is sort of an area where you get to pre-prepare things. It's a sort of different vibe, but
yeah,
about creating these spaces, it's incredibly important.
it's very interesting how like even if that's what you want out of an outing, it's kind of the way that we're trained to do it.
I think it's like the way that
there
we're
has to
wired.
be it is. There has to be like a reason or like an occasion.
Like we're going out for dinner, or we're going out to play sport, or like the primary
but
purpose.
That's the foreplay. We go to have that was the wrong word. But we go to like dinner, just out in Cronulla, so dox myself, and then that's nice and all. But then we go home to like mine. And even, watching a movie is like really nice, but then the chat you have afterwards, like 2 a.m, that's like the reason for the thing.
That is the outing,
but
in some ways.
Exactly. And but even though we're like very comfortable just being like, let's just chat and catch up, you kind of, it has to be anchored on like getting a coffee or going to a particular place. And I think now it's harder when things cost more. It's kind of, there's not as much to do.
But like, to the counter argument, shouldn't it like rather get easier and people... I think there's a strong incentive for people to be like, okay, now that things are more expensive and it's harder to hang out in these surrounds, we can organize things that are free. Like we can start organizing things that just don't cost anything. And
it's not even really about money. Like I think one example, like to use the pool comp as an example, I think it just makes it safe, kind of even subconsciously. It's like there are people using the pool comp as a running example. There's a lot of people at pool comp I've met that I really like and have clicked with, and I would really love to spend more time with them individually to like have deeper chats and to get to know them and form a connection. That's kind of harder when you're in a big group context. Like people like Ethan and people like Kyle, people like Declan, or the pool comp regulars that
for sure,
basically I only ever see them in that big group. And just going to a place where there's a pool table is just like the extra, as I said, kind of anchor that like it's safer than just saying, hey, let's go somewhere and sit down and chat for 4 hours. It seems like a date. Like, what if the conversation dries up? It's kind of a subconscious thing, maybe.
I think that's you've picked up on this as well, and that's something that also fuels in this podcast that I've noticed that I do personally, is that I think also as people we get really stressed out on the prospect that things might just dry out, and there's something wrong with that. I think that it's also like this speaks to something personal and like my sort of anxiety behind running this podcast as well. Is that like because I'm preparing this, it feels like it's my duty to keep it going.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that things have become a lot more segmented
Yeah.
over time. And the reason for that is like I'm always worried that like I've got someone that's so close to my life, right? And we have a podcast. And if I don't do justice to that person and things dry
Yeah.
up, then what happens? But that's like, and I think this speaks to like a wider sort of like thing. And we notice it with some of our friends as well, where there's a general anxiety of things drying up. But like a cool thing about the dynamic that we have and the dynamic that we have with Anton and everything is that like we're happy to sit there when things have dried up and we find it funny.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
it. There's comfort
getting
in
to that-
silence. I think that happens when you know people better.
I think, well, even more than that, I think it's once you get to know one person like that and you have one
Yeah.
example, it snowballs. Everything,
Yeah.
like, if you notice my interactions with people, I'm so comfortable now speaking about pretty much anything with anyone now.
Yeah.
It's because I've got so many really good examples that snowballed from each other. It started in school, then it happened even further when I got out of school, and
Yeah.
it's always been like that. But yeah, that's the long answer to the question
Yeah, we
that
kind
I
of got
also...
sidetracked. That was a really, really good question. I quite
you
like
can
that.
you can see how the tone has changed because like
Yeah.
we've had a break and now I'm like
Yeah.
I'm more chatty rather than intense.
Yeah.
But
I'm
how-
enjoying it. It's good. It's less interview style now. That was Kyle, I imagine?
There's a third question.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it sort of links. We've sort of answered this question. He expands on the question. Do you think this is impacting our ability to create meaningful relationship with others? And we've sort of answered that as
It's a
well.
very nice follow up.
It's a really, really good question. And I've been very surprised by this individual's questions throughout. Like,
Does it, let me think, does it impact your ability to form meaningful relationships? I mean, this is the first time I'm like hearing the terminology used properly as well, but like a third space is kind of the only space to do that. Like, as my situation where my home is like a third space is kind of a bit different, but I'm using Anton as an example because he'd never have anyone to his house ever. It's like the only place to form relations with anyone is in a third space like setting, right? And if that's harder to come by, then yeah, I think it makes it harder.
also, I
But-
might just be really stupid, but I think third space means something that's not work and home, and that's why it's called third. That
Yeah.
makes sense in my head, but like
That
we're
makes
gonna
sense to
pretend
me.
like that's it. But
Yeah,
if
I
around
get
that, yeah.
Yeah. I see. I mean, it's not that you don't necessarily need a space to form a connection with someone, but that's how it develops, right? Yeah. I don't know. I think we kind of like, yeah, it's like you say, we're kind of wired, I think, to need a space like that to connect with people, but they're just harder to come by increasingly.
Yeah, I think we need a space like that, but we're also hardwired to believe that we need an event as well. I think like this, I think we just need to dissociate from the idea that you need an event. You know what you need? You need a person. You don't need an event. I think that's the big difference that I think a lot of like cultural backgrounds tend to really get good, and something that's I think missing specifically in the West.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more like I know in our culture there's a lot more of just you invite someone over. You just invite them over.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing more to it. But I think also people are a lot more busier here, so it becomes a bit difficult as
Yeah.
well. But yeah. Anyways, that was a question from this individual. Who was it?
I thought Kyle. Yeah.
Indeed.
That was good.
Indeed.
He gave it away with the pool comp.
He did.
little
He did a
remark.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that was very good. I enjoyed that.
The next person sends a few questions.
Okay.
If you were to assign an animal to each other, what animal would it be?
If I were to assign you an animal,
Yeah.
is it cheating to say a gibbon? Ali's favorite animal, the gibbon.
It
of
is my
course.
favorite animal. There is something about the lack of anxiety that it has, and it's just so unapologetically itself, you know.
Yeah.
It feels like I've been trying like I was a lot more introverted in primary school. It's a bit of lore. I was a lot more introverted in primary school. And I like I was a very kind person, and I was still like talking to quite a lot of like people generally. But like compared to how it is now, I was a lot more like in my own self, in my own like sort of like
Sure.
not in a corner because I still was talking to a lot of people, but I found that like when I left school and I went into uni, I think people in general unlock this certain part of themselves that like you realize at some point that there is no other way to living life than being unapologetically you, and I think a gibbon sort of like
Yeah.
represents that,
Yeah.
in a very comical way. So yeah, an animal that
Yeah, and you have to
resembles
give me
you.
one. Yeah.
I do like your octopus answer.
Yeah.
I do
It's
really
my
like
favorite
that.
animal.
There is something very like strategic about that animal.
Yeah.
That really I feel like the strategy is very like you. So yeah, I would probably say that. The next question is, if you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends assume you did?
That's pretty funny. I think different friends would have different answers. I think someone like Anton would say like a tax related or financial
I think that's
crime.
what Anton would say.
Yeah, maybe you as well, actually. I don't know. I feel like most people think I'm pretty placid and I wouldn't do much to maybe, I don't know. Or like hate speech. I think hate speech would be
I think
very
hate
common.
speech.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Not based on anything that may have been said earlier in this podcast.
I mean, this might be our
Not a
future.
political person, clearly.
It might just end up being what happens as soon as we leave the room, you know?
Yeah.
Might be contemplating outside.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Giving me an opportunity to self-report. I think that one of those two probably.
I think.
What would you think? That's a good
What would I
question.
think about you? Or what would I
Yeah,
think
what
about
would
myself?
you think I've been taken in for?
Honestly, probably something really petty, like some guy, some minimum wage worker did their job
Assaulting an
wrong,
Uber driver or something.
and then you just started
Yeah.
harassing them. Like it wouldn't be like physical; it would be verbal. You would just like start
Yeah.
like yelling and something like that, something really petty,
Assaulting an Uber driver, that's what I should have said.
something like that. Yeah.
There's context, but not going into it. It's a sensitive area for me.
He hasn't actually, for the record, he hasn't assaulted an Uber driver.
I wouldn't say that, but no, no, I'm passive. I swear.
Anyways,
Pacifist.
for me, see, when I say it, it's going to be something that I would believe that I would end up doing. Not actually, but like the
It's
most
more
likely.
about what people.
I think I'll just be like, I'll probably be at the wrong place at the wrong time. I
Yeah.
think that's my sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just generally have this sort of gift from God that I'm just always somehow at the wrong place at the wrong time with a lot of things.
Yeah, it's very.
And I
in
think
character.
that's just what will happen.
Yeah.
If anything does happen, which it won't. But yeah,
It's good to be optimistic. Yeah.
it won't. It just won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that.
Very good.
Did you have any answer for that?
Those were the two. What was the first one again? Oh, the animal question.
The animal? And then this one's the arrested one. And then like, oh no, wait, no. This person has two other questions, by the way. I was saying for the arrested one, do you have like, do you think I would be?
Sorry. No, I think I agree with you.
agree?
Yeah.
Would you rather be a chud and play games, or be a chud, don't be a chud and be a chud?
Wait. Okay.
I think that there's the extra question actually puts this in context, and I think if you answer the other question, it would answer this one. Would you rather? Okay, I'll repeat this one, and then I'll say the next one straight after. Would you rather be a chud and play games, or be a chud, don't be a chud, and be a chud? And the next part is, would you rather bacon and...
Yeah.
They didn't even word it right. Would you rather have bacon but have no games, or games, unlimited games, but no games?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought it was. I don't think I need to answer either of those questions.
Surely you answer. I'll word it right. So would you rather have unlimited bacon, but no more video games,
Yeah.
or games, unlimited games, but no games?
No games. I don't like both of those are very bad because I do like my games, but I think the first option's better because that's the only one where I'm gaining
But
something.
you don't get games.
Yeah, but I get the bacon. But like
But
the
there's
second
no
scenario
games.
is just a strict loss.
But you get games.
But no, that's not.
But you get games.
I
in the second.
refuse to
You get
entertain this
unlimited
logic.
games.
No, I like
But
bacon's
unlimited
good
game.
enough for me.
You get unlimited games.
Mm.
Games. Unlimited games.
How long are you planning to drag this segment on? This will be the first 5-hour
Anyways,
episode in the
I
next
should
3 hours.
move on. Who do you think this
I
is?
only know 2 people who have said the word chud to me in the last month, and the other one that's not Connor is Arnica. So that's the only other person I would possibly have in mind.
Yep, so this was Annika on
Yep.
behalf of Alyssa and Annika because
Yeah.
I couldn't get the message through to. I asked Annika to send it
Yeah.
to Alyssa as well, but I probably should have just
I
sent
thought
it
the
to
first
Alyssa as well.
questions were too intelligent to purely be an Arnica construction. So
I don't know.
Those-
I don't know. I don't
no,
know.
they were very good. I quite like that.
That's
I'm
good.
very curious what they would think I would be arrested for.
I'm very curious if they made it to this.
But probably not. I'll tell them fast forward to the 3-hour mark and we start talking about bacon.
All right. Well, that was the Friends segment.
Ah, very good.
I hope
Those
you
are some
enjoyed
very
that.
nice questions. Very, very well done, everyone.
It must have been very daunting to see me flip the page and with approximately.
And
the
there's
same
more
amount.
on this page than the last one.
Um,
Okay. We'll be fine. It'll be a late dinner.
This next segment, I don't know how it would mesh, but
Okay.
I added a little twist to it, so it might be like actually properly interesting. to
Sure.
you. So this is messages to your younger self. So I wanted to start this off by just posing it as it is, and then I wanted to create like a little expansion that I think
Sure.
would merge well. So, what would your the context behind this is I tried it out with Ethan, and because Ethan is like his personality links with a
Yeah.
lot better because I think he likes cherishing the moment in the past a lot. He likes
Yeah.
reflecting on stuff. He's a very like that sort of person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's say you had little Jimmy going into kindergarten.
Little chicken. Okay.
Going into kindergarten, little Jimmy. What would you tell Jimmy? What would you tell him?
What would I tell
Or what would you do? Like, 'cause little Jimmy's just here. What would you, what would you, how would you react? What would you do? And you knew it wasn't him.
Kindergarten's very hard because it's so young. That was like a
Yeah.
completely different being. I wouldn't even know what to do with like that version of myself.
hmm
Um,
I think it's a really interesting one.
I don't know. I think that's so early that I can't think of anything I would want to like change or I don't encourage myself to do. Because I think the way I'm geared to answer this question is kind of like if I had a message for my past self, it's less sort of reflective. It's more like what would I go back and change kind of thing. I don't know if that's the like right way to answer this style of question.
There's no right way. Like you can answer it.
But it feels to me
I've
when
sort
we
of answered it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my answer after. You
yeah, but when we used to do this exercise in school or whatnot, or if you were going the other direction to your future self or something, it was more like it felt to me like people fell in the trap of writing generic answers, which were kind of inspirational and reflective and didn't really achieve anything. And that used to always like that concept bored me. So I think for me, I would just be like, don't do this or do this.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
more like I mean, I'm sure that's how a lot of people would do it. In kindergarten, that's probably around the age I was when Zeke was first born. So the only real thing I'd have to say that matters is like look after Zeke and like enjoy it.
It's very sweet.
That's about
It's
it.
very sweet.
Mm.
What about going into year 7, going into high school?
High school's well, because then you're older. There's more like
There's more things to say.
meaningful
Yeah,
advice
exactly,
you can
yeah.
give. I think I need from younger. I would have liked to make more of an effort to make and maintain connections like this. I think I got quite skilled at that later in my life. Like early on, it was a struggle for me. Kind of. Also, I was a bit young for the year, so fitting in, and I was always like, I think everyone was always very welcoming, and I always had a group to fit into, but I was kind of like,
We did have a really good cohort. in that
yeah.
regard, yeah.
And I had people that I had maintained connections with basically all the way through. But it was kind of like, how do I put it? It's kind of like the group was just there, and it had like an established dynamic, and I was just there. I was enjoying it, but it wasn't really like actively coming from me. And there were just groups around that I would like mesh with, but it wasn't so much driven by me. And I think it would be I would have encouraged myself to be more active in like seeking people out and growing connections and like doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, all the connections I have now are like healthy and I'm really happy with them. So like, it's not like I would have needed to put in more effort earlier or something. But I just think like,
You're just having those connections earlier.
yeah, it would have been a nice experience. Also, it's like, you know, I had all these people which I was close with, and now having left school and being at uni, I've just grown closer to the same people. But from earlier, it would have been cool to learn that lesson and to like keep refining it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I feel I've come a long way in just like a few years. If like, you know, 6 or so years ago, I was gonna do it. Like 6 or so years ago, if I'd like started then you know, it's a worthwhile skill to work on. So I would have, I'd encourage myself to like
That's
to
good.
try and
I like that.
because maybe it would have been like I think Anton said similar things in his episode, but there were people throughout high school that I ended up drifting away from a little bit when I changed over to the HSC and dynamics kind of shifted and my close people kind of changed a little bit. But maybe I could have like if I was more active in reaching out to people and doing things and planning things outside of school, then I could have had a bigger group or like you know what I mean. Not that that's in any way expressing like dissatisfaction with
No,
things
it's
now.
just like a
But yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
The next one is going into year 9 camp.
I have very strong thoughts and opinions on the year 9 camp.
Yeah. But like, what would you say to yourself without necessarily? I think the thoughts would go way far over time. Because I think we'll be sitting here until tomorrow.
I think.
But like,
Yeah, I'm gonna save my reservations.
I think like think about you going to the camp. Like what? Like if he was sitting in front of you, like what would happen?
I think another thing is I think I've got more resilient over time. I've got stronger, and I think if I could kick myself up the arse a bit, it's just like relax, you'll get through it. Kind of don't stress about things because I was reserved. I was anxious. I was not that those things aren't still kind of true now, but it's like encouragement that you get through it.
Yeah,
It's fine. Like just make the most of it for what it is. There's actually highlights to be had here. Like this is kind of just one of those things that it might be tough, but you'll look back on it in hindsight and it'll feel like a blink. And like just try and make the most of it while you can. Don't let like the negative aspects get in the way of the good parts of it. Because like on that camp, there were some people I think Anton was on that one. I remember like Joe Evans and Ethan Brow and all that. That was the group.
We're low on battery people.
Checkpoint. We're good.
And yeah, so anyways.
Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, I think at the time it was kind of me and that group. And there were good memories to be made there. Like there was some funny stuff that happened. I got to know people a bit better than I had before the camp. And it was a shame that some of that was kind of washed away by just being like uncomfortable being away from home for so long or having negative experiences doing various activities. So like, try and see like the good in it. Maybe that's what I'd say.
For sure. I'm just gonna quickly double check.
Sure.
Sorry.
Mm.
Yeah, everything's right.
Are good?
I'm just double checking. Yeah. No, I like that answer. That was good. Going into the final year of HSC, so going into year 12.
That's tough because I think I had my shit figured out then.
Yeah.
That was when I peaked, was in year 12.
I mean, you don't have to say anything, but you can choose to. I think you'll hear through my answers that,
I don't know. I'm struggling to think what advice I'd have. I feel like every other point in my life, there's things I could say, but I think at that point I was kind of just studious. I had stuff worked out. I kind of knew what I was doing. I had momentum. I don't know.
Okay. And then going out of school. So like once you've finished school and you're starting uni.
That's a very tough one because I think the obvious answer for me would be to say don't do law and just chase your passions. But I don't even know how I feel about that answer because as has been evident since we've been like insinuating at it, I started doing law at uni for years and then ended up dropping it. When was it? A year and a half ago.
Yes.
That's so long ago. It feels like it was way more recent.
Because it was such a strong time in your life. I remember that like you were discussing it so much and like we were like going back and forth and it was a very interesting process to see. I really enjoyed that time.
But yeah, like that's the thing I would tell myself to. This is the other thing about these kind of questions that I don't like or I'm not sure about. Not that this is flaming the segment, but the problem is that the obvious thing would be for me to say, law is not your thing. Just go by your passion. You know, you're a physicist, a scientist at heart. Chase that. You know, money is not the only important thing. Just go with that. But I think that the whole process of learning the lesson is almost as important as the lesson itself. Like, it doesn't do any good for me to tell myself just do physics and give up the law. The process of getting there was really important. So it's like, and even there's the way it's unfolded, the people I've met along the way, the stuff I've learned, like getting into this particular honors I'm doing now, all of these events in my life kind of happen because of the sequence of events, you know? Like, would I want to go back and change so I never started in law? I don't know. It would have been a very different, very different past. So, like, I don't know. I think that's kind of a half answer. But
no, that worked. That worked well. Yeah.
Like, just for shits and giggles, that's what I would say. Like, just don't do law and see what happens. It'd be fun. But I think that as valuable as the lesson is, it's kind of the purpose. I mean, the process is the important part of the lesson, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The next question is going to be a message. Well, it's not really a message. So now this part, it's not conventional. It's what I want to take it as. It's a year in the future, but it's a year in the future of like things that would be like sort of like goals, right? Or like things that you see your 1 year in the future being. So this point is meant to be like a nice like reflective thing that in the future you see this be really good fun to just like set goals and then you going to that spot and looking back and be like, oh, it's funny how things turned out, and just like seeing what you think things will look like in a year and then seeing like where you are.
Sure.
So more in that regard.
It's an interesting one. I would hope that in a year I've kind of found my footing a bit better in the sense of knowing what I want to do with my skill set and my interests, because I kind of, maybe because it was a bit of a winded path to get here, but I never really thought much about what was coming beyond uni. And I kind of don't want to fall in the trap of just getting a generic job that's kind of vaguely relevant but not really my interest, and then I have to put all of this behind me, all of my physics and my passions and things. So I'd hope that in a year's time, even though like you get a bit rusty maybe with like memory and stuff, I would hope that I can still hold on to what my passions were, and even if I'm not directly like doing them every day, like just the fun physicsy stuff I usually do, I still like hold on to them in some way. And that my career is going in that direction where like I'm still using the same parts of my brain and doing things I find enjoyable, and it's not like leaving behind a part of who I was. That's what I would hope.
I like that. I thought that was me.
We've got a bit of ambience. The lights have gone off in the room. It's very romantic. This is the most botched possible setup.
Wow. Okay. Anyways, the next part was going to be about. So now the next message is when you're about to start a family. So this is about what sort of values do you want to hold close? So like what's like one central value that you want to make sure that when you start a family, this is something that you instill within like your family. Hello people. Unfortunately, we've run out of battery on our computer. I don't know if you heard the answers to the questions that we went through. You would have definitely heard the up to about, did we pause after the messages or was it before the messages?
We paused about halfway through. I think we were just finishing the year 9 one.
Okay. Then that might just be a moment in between us, depending on if the video saves or not.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, so the next, I didn't even write this part down, this one that I asked, is about like message to your future self. So summarizing quickly, the 1 year forward, it was more about finding your footing in terms of physics. And just so yeah, pretty much I think that summarizes that. And then now we're up to pretty much asking about a message to your future self in terms of when you're starting a family. What sort of value do you really want to hold close to you? Or like what's something that like you would really enjoy like either instilling or like having as an environment for your kid?
It's a tricky one to answer, because I feel a lot of the stuff is so intrinsic to me that it's like I wouldn't even need to remind myself of things. Maybe the way to answer it is kind of like I'm trying to think of the words to express this, but it's. You understand what I'm saying? I think that any message I would want to give my future self is more of such an intrinsic part of me that I would be very surprised if I forget it.
Yeah.
But maybe the way to approach it is
It's
you
more
never know what's going to happen throughout the course of your life. So by the time I start a family, that could be a long time in the future. I could be a very different person.
More than that, it's sort of it's interesting hearing your thought process at this point in time.
Yeah.
So although the fundamental value might stay the same.
Yeah.
It might just be really interesting to just hear how you decide to express it, even though you might still believe in the exact same thing. It's just interesting hearing yourself after a period of time.
I think all I would say, I mean, when you posed it, you've posed it essentially twice, so I can't remember the exact wording. But when you mentioned it, you mentioned having a family and having kids and whatnot. I think my vision would always be I think a wife and probably 2 kids. Maybe, I don't know if I would do 3, but at least 2. And the only thing I would encourage is I would want my family unit to be really similar to what mine currently is, where it's kind of me and my wife should have a very solid foundation beyond just the context of the family unit and kids. It's important, I think, that we have a strong bond as well. But also the bond that your 2 kids have is so important. What I have with Zeke, I could not accept having a family where that's not true for my kids, the same sort of level of bond. So if I was going to say anything, it's foster that connection with my children as siblings. I think that's so important. That's I think everything else is sort of secondary to that in my mind. If I'm starting a family, that's the one value I would want to make sure I remember.
That's nice. I like that. That's a good answer. Now I think we'll. Do I really want to talk about some things I could skip, some things I could keep? I think what we might do is, I'll quickly go through this. Okay. So I noticed that you had, I think in conversations generally recently, let me just check how the battery is draining on this. Okay, it's doing okay. Okay, so I learned actually on my ride here, this should have been more interesting because it's a lot lighter. But I heard this morning on my drive here, an interesting fact.
Okay.
Did you know that do you know what the word of 2025 is? According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, I think it is.
I might have heard it, but I don't remember. Yeah.
It was slop.
That's really good.
It was very, very really funny. I wish I knew this with Liam because that would have been.
He would have loved it.
He would have exploded.
Oh yeah, he's added that to my vocab.
But yes, and then I was listening to a few podcasts on the way, and I listened to the New York Times opinions, and then I listened to something from the Guardian, right? And I found it really interesting. So before I start going on this specific tangent, another thing that we've been talking about generally, politics has come up in conversations between us, and in group environments. And something interesting that you've said is that you from what I've heard, and then you can clarify after, you had a general interest in staying on top of what's happening in the global stage, more as a fun way to participate in conversation rather than a more getting to know it because you should know it. You've got to vote. You've got to make sure you're in the right direction vibe. I found that really interesting, and I think that's a really cool way of viewing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was listening to the New York Times, and it was very interesting to hear a lot of stuff, especially about Trump. Without I'm gonna drag him more in a philosophical perspective, rather than a political one. And I thought this might be interesting to just bring up, although it might be vaguely political and generally sour. When I was listening to the New York Times and the Guardian, I had a general thought about the left wing and media with the left wing. So New York Times have been criticized to be relatively left, especially on their opinions, right? And so has the Guardian, obviously. And I was thinking about the state of Trump right now, the state of the right wing. It becomes really weird and interesting because I think we lack a centrist or right-leaning platform, centrist to right-leaning platform, in terms of opinions about politics. I actually now, the more I speak about it, the less I know why I'm raising it up.
I thought of Twitter.
It was more like
Grok AI has some nice right-wing
the thing
takes.
is that, have you noticed as well with the political landscape of things, that it seems like there's a moderate and extreme left, but when it comes to the right, there's only really an extreme right. There's no really real moderate right that goes on. And do you know any sort of like places where I could find like a moderate right sort of like media thing?
I don't know. I mean, I think moderacy is a very hard thing to come by politically generally. Like, and I'm almost wondering if it's like we would consider it the moderate left just because we're more aligned with it, and people would say that the values of the moderate left are actually more extreme if you sit on the other side. But like, I don't know. Like, what is even defined as the moderate left?
Because to me, actually, like that's an interesting question, because it's funny how quickly this podcast changed. But to me, what defines moderate versus radical or extreme is all about framing of how you express something. It's how inflammatory it is. It seems like, actually, I'm not even sure if that's true. It seems like there is like a somewhat like moderate left that exists in media where it's not as inflammatory. Recently, because of Trump, it's been a bit different, but it feels like the right, when it comes to commenting about the left, is like completely radical from what I've seen. It's been very odd.
I think the difficulty is a lot of times people confuse being an extremist with just having strong views. Like, they don't have to correlate. It's in the nature of the views. Like, I would not really consider the New York Times and Guardian to be that radical left, or like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's kind of extreme left is like Marxism. It's like the Honey Soy magazine that you said. Like,
your extreme left would be like authoritarian communist, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And on the extreme right side, even like Sky News is kind of getting there, but I don't know if it's, it's pretty extreme. But like
Fox News is sort of like that.
Yeah.
I think more of like Fox News exists on the right, but I don't think there's that much of that on the left. Anyways, those were interesting observations that I now no longer know why I brought up. Anyways, that was my morning. So that was my
interesting.
I was listening to those podcasts, and I thought it was a very interesting thing about the state of like the way things work in news and media in terms of politics. And then I thought it would be also, actually, you know what, I know why I brought this up. It was because I thought it would be really funny to start talking about politics and start talking about politics, and then ask, what's something you would like to leave behind in 2025?
What's something I'd
Because it was too smooth of a segue to go from messages to yourself to 2025, so I thought to make it completely left field and just bring up politics for no reason and then ask to catch you even more off guard.
Unfortunately, you should have known me better. You should have known I was going to take any excuse to rant about politics earlier in the episode, so we've already gone there and done that.
I expected that to happen, but
and what's something you want to leave behind?
What's something you want to leave behind in 2025? Welcome back to every listener that tuned out.
Welcome back. I want to say self-doubt, and that sort of, there's probably better ways to express it, but self-doubt, and maybe some insecurity as well. I think that's been a recurring thing for me for a while, not like in an extreme sense, but like I suppose everyone has it to some degree. Not only about some things. It's not like I have imposter syndrome about academics or anything, but I think everyone can feel a bit like insecure about things at times, about how they relate to others, how people perceive them, about connections they have. I'm dancing around the obvious one so I don't humiliate myself. About being single and whatnot.
This is like that Kanye clip of like the doctors. I'm not gonna say which kind, and then he proceeds to say exactly who. This is like
something like that. It's confident. I want to be more confident. If I have any New Year's resolution, it's maybe that. Because confidence is such a good, important skill, and I think every one of us can be a bit prone to getting in our own heads. Me especially. So that's something I want to do less of, which I think I'm getting better at. I just want to keep working on it. I think.
Yeah. I like that. I think to end out the episode, we will go through our piece of media.
Yes.
I thought we don't have our cameras up, so I think we should probably wrap it up here, and it's going heavily over time regardless, like every episode does.
There will be another episode, so
There will
discussions can be continued.
many more episodes as every battery is running out. So, piece of media for the week. I think I'll go through mine first.
Sure.
I brought a book with me called A Man Named Ove. You would know this book because I've discussed it with you, but it's been... I saw it on my table today, and on my table there's a bunch of books that are sitting there, and I don't know what happened, but this morning when I saw it, it sort of made me pause for a little bit, because that book sort of symbolized a time, which you guys won't be able to see, but it symbolizes a time in my life where I was working at my job at IGA. And I don't know, like when I saw the book itself is great, of course, and it was gifted by Vanessa. Thank you, Vanessa. And there's just, it reminds me of a time where I enjoyed the IGA time, but it reminded me of so many parts of IGA. There was something about, so this book is basically about like a man that's very old. His name is Ove. His wife passed away. He didn't have any kids or anything, and he lived on the street. And it got to a point in his life where he was sort of like fed up with life itself. And the book goes through, and you sort of tackle this idea of like, how do you live on a day-to-day basis when it doesn't feel like there's much motivation to live?
Yeah, right.
And what this character finds out is that by just being there, and I don't know if he finds this out consciously or even if the book really delves into that, but what it shows you is that by just being present and being out on the street and just walking around, people come up to you with problems on your street, people talk to you. You sort of like, in fact, this character, sadly, is so much about like finding a way to kill himself in a decent and sophisticated way. Such that he doesn't like bother anyone else, right?
Oh, okay.
And whenever he goes out on the street and he's about to like figure out a way, like he finds out in his like our garage in his old car, he can like mess around with the exhaust pipe and like it will be like a peaceful death so people don't have to clean up so much. And as he's doing that, someone knocks on the garage and they're like, I need a tool. And then he goes through an entire chapter being like, well, I can't leave this person like this. They can't find my dead body. It'll be very improper for me to.
Yeah.
And that style of thinking as well was very interesting. It's about like going through those day-to-day interactions. And something about that mixed with my IGA experience of like how I'm going there and having so many day-to-day experiences with people and feeling like I'm making a genuine difference in people's day-to-day lives. Just, it really struck me this morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, like especially like seeing a lot of elderly community where like you get to a point in your life where there really isn't that many responsibilities left after going through a heavy responsible period. And it's like knowing that, like after reading this book, knowing that I had that sort of impact on someone where like I sort of like turned around their perspective, so it just meant a lot. And that's why like I wanted to share that today.
Yeah, that's really nice. Because I remember you explaining some of this book to me, and you kind of articulated some of those thoughts. But I think this was when you were working in the IGA, maybe.
Yeah, it was.
So it's interesting for you to like look back on it with kind of a hindsight.
I was like reading it while in IGA, and it was like I started and finished it while I was working there for my year and a half that I worked there.
Yeah.
And it's like when I was reading this on my shifts, and then I finished it at home one time. It's like the feelings at that time were like, oh, this is a really nice book. But now reflecting on it, it's like the way that it combined into like an idea that symbolizes a period of time in my life, just it means a lot.
Yeah,
and
that's very special. I like that.
That's what I decided to choose for my piece of media of this episode.
That's very nice. Well, thank you for sharing. That sounds very nice. I might have to give it a look.
Yeah.
The synopsis on the back is quite nice. All right, is it my turn?
Anyways, it is your turn as the final
Alright.
thing of the podcast.
I've been excited for this. So I went away overseas and I was in London towards the beginning of December. And London has tons of bookshops, so I thought, given that Ali's becoming an avid reader, it would be appropriate for me to get him a book. So what you are not seeing at the moment is a gift from me to Ali.
I'm very apologetic that
No, that's just completely fine.
technology didn't work out today.
I mean, you've got it now, so you can take a photo of it maybe and edit it in or something so people can see
Sure.
what it is.
Yeah.
So this book, maybe I'll give a bit of a synopsis and then talk through it a bit. I don't want to spoil much of it because I think it's quite nice to read.
Mhm.
And I was almost debating whether to just give it and not say much, but I think maybe it'll be nice to have a bit of my kind of perspective on it as you're reading it without wanting to bias how you think about it, but to
Mhm.
give you some seeds to
I like
plant
that.
it.
I like that.
So this is the book. It's by a Japanese author whose name is Murakami, and the title of the book is Super Frog Saves Tokyo. So Murakami,
Oh my God.
he's quite well known. Anton had actually heard of him, surprisingly,
Hmm.
and this is one of his most well-known books. It's translated from Japanese into English, and this is quite a cute version because it's fully illustrated. So, as well as
that's
actual
so
text,
sweet.
it's actually quite an arty. It's quite a nice read. It's a
They
short.
got Nietzsche in there.
Yeah, there is. Mate, I've got tabs.
Yeah, wow.
So it's quite a cute short read. It took me a train in and a train home to get through it. It's a short
really
one. It's
nice.
short but sweet.
I need
But-
shorter books to read.
Yeah, you'll probably get through it in a day. It's a quick read, but I really liked the concept of the book when I saw it, and I've read it now. I got myself a copy as well, of course. And I just loved it. It's such a nice little story. I've put some, maybe I can keep them in there and you can take a photo and edit it in. I've got a few tabs of some moments and quotes I quite liked. But yeah, the concept of the book, it's called Super Frog Saves Tokyo. And without giving too much away, it's essentially this guy, he's like a debt collector. And he gets visited by a 6-foot-tall frog in his apartment. And they're having a bit of a chat. The guy can't believe what he's seeing, and the frog says, "I need your help urgently. We need to save Tokyo." Because apparently, imminently, in the next few days, there's meant to be a massive earthquake under his branch of this bank or this lending institution, which is meant to kill 150,000 people. So the frog has to battle a big worm which is living under the bank to save Tokyo from the earthquake. Right?
That's amazing.
It's such a weird plot. As you read it, I'm kind of it's almost framed like a kid's story. But there's a few little windows in there where you get a glimpse of something a little deeper. And you almost read it, it's kind of like a fable or like a poem or something. Because it's such a short read, it's good. I read it and then read it again on the train back the other direction. It's so interesting. It's pretty insightful. Sorry, this is what on the back of the book.
That's fine.
I don't know, it deals with some deeper theming but presents it in such an interesting way. I made a couple of notes on kind of the general vibe of what it's getting at. As I said, I don't want to give too much away about the book and also what it's trying to communicate, but I think it's meant to be very metaphorical was my interpretation of it. Obviously it's framed as this kind of fantastical battle of a big frog with a worm, but I think what you're meant to be getting at is it's more representative of inner conflict and the grapples that people have within their own minds internally. I think I might have a tab with a quote. I'm trying to think of the best order in which to do this. But yeah, it's quite interesting. It's quite moving. I'm trying to find one particular quote. Let me see. I have too many tabs in this. Yeah. So I think a big theme in the book is sort of the idea of what one sees and what is real kind of coming into tension. And there's one quote here where the guy was kind of questioning what's happening and whether this frog is real or whether he's losing his shit or something. And this big frog character says, "What you see with your eyes is not necessarily real. My enemy is, among other things, the me inside me."
That's nice.
It's such an interesting quote. I think a big part of this is sort of the battles people are fighting that don't necessarily appear on the surface.
Yeah.
and they kind of frame it as this like really quaint kind of story about a frog and a worm, but it's very symbolic. Like this one particular character, he's I don't know, he's this lender who, as I said, collects debts, and he's this kind of character where he has people in his life, but he's sort of the odd figure without a partner, without close friends and family. He just does this. It kind of harks back to what you were saying about your book as well. It's kind of just the guy who has his career, does his own thing, and sort of exists in his own sort of sphere, and is dealing with his own grapples of what's moral, how do you find motivation to live your day to day. And I think I made some notes on it. It's the kind of idea of like being virtuous to oneself rather than in a public context. I might have put this as well. I'm butchering explaining it.
No, you're doing good. I'm really enjoying this explanation. It's nice.
But this character, so the frog, there's one scene in the book where the frog is explaining kind of why he sought out this particular guy, because he's kind of an unremarkable just career guy. He's got a beer gut. He's like, this is random. Like, why would the frog be seeking him for support in like mortal combat with a big worm? And the frog talks about his life and his experiences, and he says, maybe I can read it. Should I read the quote? I think I will. So it starts here. Explaining why he would seek out this guy, he says, nor is it a matter of your work. After your parents died, you raised your teenage brother and sister single-handedly, put them through college, and even arranged for them to marry, all at great sacrifice of your time and income, and at the expense of your own marriage prospects. But in spite of this, your brother and sister have never expressed gratitude for your efforts on their behalf. And then he goes on and on. And it's kind of the idea of like, what one does, the battles you fight, being a moral, good person, often happens in the shadows with no reward. And yeah, it's very interesting. There's layers here to be unpacked.
I love that.
I just find it such a compelling character as well. And there's a lot of good stuff in here, a lot of good quotes. I might have another like one-liner.
Yeah.
They are in context, and if I read them out of context, it's probably going to make no sense. But there's some great one-liners in
They
here.
can't see me, but like I'm low-key getting a little emotional. That's why I'm not speaking.
I think I was like intending to speak more intelligently about it, but I'm just saying a bunch of random things.
Oh, this happens all the time in the podcast. Whenever I hear myself back, I'm like, what kind of stupid man sat here for like 2 hours?
Maybe the longer I keep talking, it'll make more sense eventually. But
that's
like,
a trap, But keep going. Please keep going.
There's lines in here that like are so random, like they're just talking about complete bullshit, and then all of a sudden the frog goes like, I may lose a limb or two in this battle, and then he says, but I will not run away. As Nietzsche said, as Nietzsche said, the highest wisdom is to have no fear. And I'm like, that's such a banger. That's such a really good line. There was another one like that as well. Yeah, and then the frog like helps him out with something kind of to prove that he's real. I won't spoil it again. And I think he like roughed up some guys anyway in this context. And he goes, I just gave them a little scare, a touch of psychological terror. As Joseph Conrad once wrote, true terror is the kind that men feel towards their imagination. That's so good. It's so interesting.
No, I really like how the author seems to have researched a lot of Western philosophy specifically.
Yeah,
and sort of like incorporated it into like a more like childlike story with the way that it seems.
Yeah.
It's also really cute and beautiful, and how like you've made little tabs on the side.
Oh, there's nothing. They're just tabs of like quotes. I think I let myself get distracted by all the tabbing.
Yeah, no, but it's really sweet. Like I don't really tab too much in my books, but another good thing about this podcast is that it gives you an outlet to just really appreciate what you're reading. You would notice some weeks I bring in quotes, or I bring in little paragraphs. This week it was an entire book, but like it's nice to sort of be able to have that here.
But it's very digestible, which I like. But as I said, there's like these little glimpses of something deeper, and it's very compelling story.
I would very much enjoy this read. I'm like extremely certain I would really enjoy this read. Yeah, man.
I thought you would. When you get through it, we can reconvene and have a book club.
Indeed. I think I'll say my thoughts at the end of the next episode in the piece of video.
Yeah.
I think that will be my piece of video next episode.
Oh, that sounds cool.
No spoilers. But yes. Anyways, I think that's a pretty good wrap on the episode.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, thank you very much, James.
It was a pleasure. It's a shame that the recording
It's a shame that the
system has
tech-
failed us somewhat, but it is
It's
all
been
good.
quite a chaotic day in that regard. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
No, it's been
I'm just
a,
gonna
it's
give
been
you
a
a
pleasure.
hug.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
yeah, thank you so much, man.
No stress at all. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed having a bit of structure. Like I was saying to him beforehand, we can kind of yap for 6 hours. Lucy,
As they can probably tell at this point.
Yeah, of course. But I enjoyed having like the extra prompts and stuff as well, and being
Yeah.
challenged to think a bit deeper, which is
For
something
sure.
that I have definitely got from you in the last few years. Like asking deeper questions and thinking deeper. That's like a very
That's
Ali
very
skill,
sweet.
which is like, it's rubbing off.
That's very nice. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be a wrap, people. Thank you for
Sounds
listening.
good.
Actually, I don't really care so much if people listen or not. But
Like and
anyways,
subscribe.
I really hope if you do listen to all of this time of podcast, I hope you get something out of it. Although the general intention is just for this to be a hobby. But yeah, it's the end of the episode now. So to everyone, you have a great day. And bye-bye.
Bye-bye.